Welcome to the June Ordinary Council meeting of Dubbo Regional Council. I advise that this meeting is being live streamed to the internet. All those present should refrain from making any defamatory statements, and upon joining these ordinary meetings, you accept the condition that your image may be recorded and streamed to the internet, as well as being retained in the archive of the recorded council meetings and standing committee meetings. I now open the June Ordinary Council meeting, the time being 5:30 p.m. First up, we have Councillor Butler with the prayer, please.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we just thank you so much for this night. Lord, we thank you for the weighty decisions that we make, and we ask, Lord, and invite your wisdom and your presence to be with us tonight. Lord, grant us your peace to know what is the right thing to do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Acknowledgement of country, Councillor Cowley, please.
Please join me in acknowledging that we gather tonight on the lands of the Tubbergar people of the Wiradjuri Nation, and pay our respects to their elders and to all our elders, in fact, of all nations that come together to have made this community what it is and the community that we have the honour to serve.
Thank you. Next up, we have CCL 25/140 leave of absence. There are no requests for leave of absences, but please note that Councillors Ivy Wells and the CEO will be attending via audio-visual link. Next up, they're online, but Councillor Ivy's not online yet. The CEO's there. He will appear when he presses his microphone to speak at any stage. CCL 25/141 conflicts of interests. Do any councillors have any conflicts of interest that they wish to declare? Councillor Chowdhury, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have CCL 25/150 that I live in South Lake, and it's significant, and I'm gonna leave the room. But the next one is CCL 25/156. I have declared as a pecuniary significant. That same thing, I live in South Lake Estate, and I'll leave the room. The next one is item CCL 25/160. It's non-pecuniary significant. I do volunteer with Oriscon and few other community groups, so this is about their grant, so I'll leave the room. There is another one is CCL 25/161. It's non-pecuniary significant. It's about the double greyhound racing, and I'm gonna leave the room.
Thank you. I also have two to declare, which is CCL 25/157, the naming of the streets on Camp Road, non-pecuniary but significant. I live on Camp Road. The site's owned by the Benders down the road from me, and though it will not impact the value of my property, I'll leave the room to remove any perception of a conflict. And CCL 25/161, the Event Assistance Program Community Events Fund Round 2, I'll say pecuniary because the Dubbo Greyhound Racing Club has allowed me to display my election posters on the fence on numerous occasions to remove the perception of any conflict or benefit. I'll leave the room while this matter is debated. No further conflicts. CCL 25/142 Public Forum. I'll now run through the rules for public forum. Each speaker will have up to a maximum of 5 minutes to speak. When you come forward to speak, please state your name and the item that you are speaking to. When you have 30 seconds remaining, I'll ring a bell at 5 minutes. The bell will be rung multiple times, the microphone will be turned off, and you will conclude speaking. Registered speakers will be asked to speak first, followed by members of the gallery who also wish to speak if time allows, up to 30 minutes. Gallery members should refrain from any disruptive behaviour, including clapping or jeering. I'll now call the following registered speakers, please. First up, we have Jessica Herbert on increasing tree canopy percentage in the Dubbo region. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you, councillors, for the opportunity to address you all this evening. I would also like to acknowledge and pay my respect to the Tubbergar people, the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today. The matter I wish to address today is one of great importance, but one I fear is greatly overlooked. That is, the matter of the tree population of the Dubbo LGA. Recently, a group of like-minded locals came together to discuss our shared concerns about the state of Dubbo's tree population. Many of us are already active members of existing environmental groups, and we've united to form a new collective voice advocating for healthier and more sustainable tree canopy across our region. It's my pleasure to introduce our newly formed collective known simply as Dubbo Needs Trees. Our group aims to advocate for a healthier tree population across the wider Dubbo region, to see an increase in native tree and understory planting, to ensure street tree selection is done with ecological sense, prioritising native species, and where non-natives are used, ensuring they are sterile and non-invasive. To work with Council to establish and achieve an ideal tree canopy target, and ultimately to enhance the livability of our region for people, for wildlife, and for future generations. Now, why are we concerned? Dubbo's tree canopy is among the lowest in New South Wales, at a time when temperatures are on the rise. Healthy tree cover and green spaces are essential for playing a crucial role in reducing ground level heat, yet our community continues to face increasing energy costs as residents rely on air conditioning systems that struggle to cope with our extreme conditions. Beyond human comfort, native trees are also vital for habitat for our local wildlife. Our iconic local natives all depend on native flora to survive. Without action, we risk pushing these species to the brink. So what do we need from Council? Improved street tree planning and planting. Many newly developed areas in Dubbo lack meaningful tree cover. In addition, many of our streets are lined with inappropriate or invasive tree species. One of particular concern is the planting of Celtis varieties, which are registered weeds and ones that are actively targeted for removal by the Dubbo River Care volunteers along the river during our working bees. The formation of the Environmental Committee. We look forward to the establishment of this committee and hope it provides a platform for community input. Should you be seeking members, we can suggest several dedicated individuals, both with expertise and proven commitment to the local environmental work. A stronger commitment to tree management. The budget for street tree planting and maintenance has decreased in recent years. We would like to understand what Council plans to do to reverse this trend and invest in the creation of a healthier, more climate-resilient urban greenery. And also the support of our volunteer groups who are actively working towards these targets already in their spare time. In the coming months, our group aims to raise further concerns and speak on more specific issues and how Council can get on board to help us achieve these goals together. We also have several ideas in the pipeline for community engagement to promote and inform our local residents of how they too can get on board. As Dubbo's population continues to grow, we have a responsibility and an opportunity to shape a city that is not only sustainable, but truly livable for all. Councillors, I believe this is an opportunity to invest in a greener future that benefits our environment, our economy, and the well-being of every resident. We look forward to working together towards a healthier, greener Dubbo region, and I implore you to watch this space. I also open an invitation to any councillors willing to attend our next meeting to discuss our next moves, which will be held on the 11th of July. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Ms Herbert. Next up, we have Mr Martin Simmons on the budget, fees and charges to do with the Dubbo sale yards.
So Martin Simmons, President of the Dubbo Stock and Station Agents. It's good to be back. Good evening, councillors. I'm here this evening to raise concerns about the proposed fees and charges put forward for the Dubbo regional livestock markets in 25-26. The fee I'd like to draw attention to is the cattle and sheep feeding charge, this being 50 cents per head per day for cattle and 5 cents per head per day for sheep and lambs. As agents, we feel this charge is not warranted for stock that have been sold through the DRLM. Our clients already pay to have the stock fed and then go on to pay yard dues once the stock is sold. I think this is genuinely double dipping on behalf of the council to create income and once again creating a deterrent for our clients to send their livestock to the DRLM. I'd like to give you an example of the potential fallout this could cause on behalf of the company I represent, Elders Rural Services. Each year through our network, we attract livestock to the DRLM from right across Australia. I'd like to use our Broken Hill branch as a prime example of what is at stake here. Each year, Elders Broken Hill would supply around 7,000 cattle to the DRLM. not to mention the numbers that our member agents also receive out of that district. Due to the long distance those stock must travel, we encourage our clients to transport their cattle early in the week to allow the livestock to rest and recover from such a long trip. Our clients are very price sensitive. If they are forced to pay 50 cents a day to use the feed paddocks, they'll start to look for other alternatives. From their location, they have the option to sell at other centres like Roma in the north or Wagga in the south, or either Narracourt or Dublin into South Australia, not to mention online marketing options where the clients have no freight costs, no yard dues, and certainly no feeding costs. Please let me break it down for you in very simple terms. Over 2 days of feeding those cattle in Dubbo, the council stand to make an extra $7,000 a year. Yet, you have the potential to lose $93,000 in yard dues. That's 7,000 cattle at $13.30 per head for the yard dues the council will lose if our clients choose to market their livestock elsewhere. Now, I'm not the smartest man in the room, but I know which figure I'd rather collect out of the two. The other issue that could raise concern through this process is animal welfare. If our clients try to avoid the feeding altogether and truck their livestock long distances on the Wednesday before the day of sale, there is potential for serious animal welfare issues. Stock will arrive tired and thirsty, which could lead to further complications. I see the cattle feeding fee for transit stock is proposed at $2 per head per day. This fee looks extremely light to me, due to the fact the stock have full access to the facility and all the DRLM stand to make is $2 a head. They cause the same wear and tear on the facility as stock to be sold through the DRLM, yet your return is so minimal. I suggest you double the transit fee. It's about now you should all give serious consideration to the potential disease outbreak these travelling stock could bring to the DRLM and the monumental effects this could have on the facility if a forced closure is activated. Once again, is it important to collect $2 a head for transit stock, or is it more beneficial to collect the weekly yard dues? You all know the answer to that. I note an increase in the destruction and disposal fee. I'd like to say that the current fee is set at a reasonable figure, and at this point, it's discouraging clients to send livestock to the yards that aren't fit to load, yet isn't set too high to encourage people in the chain of responsibility to do the wrong thing and try and avoid paying the D&D fee. In closing, I would like to ask the question one more time. Are you, the councillors, comfortable to allow the feeding charge for livestock to be sold at the DRLM past for such small financial gain and the potential loss of throughput at the DRLM? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up, we have Mr. David Salter with Troy Gully Park.
Councillors, my name is David Salter, and I've come here tonight to talk about Troy Gully on the eastern side of Dubbo. On occasions when we walk in the area, we note that everyone is forced to walk along the edge of the road, or where possible, the council strip. This is mainly Buninyong Road, that bit. Neither option provides an even surface to walk on, and there is the risk of cars passing. There are also no footpaths on the streets in the area. The causeway, just after you enter Buninyong Road from Mile Street, crosses Troy Watercourse, where pedestrians are particularly vulnerable as cars enter from Mile Street. As you can see in the photos, and we've supplied some photos, it is difficult to avoid being uncomfortably close to a car if you are on the bridge as they pass. Heavy vehicles are more dangerous still because they're bigger. To make things worse, high grass grows right to the edge of the traffic laneway. There is also an area that is never mowed, close to the corner of Mile Street. There actually appears to be a little rhyme or reason to the method used to slash the area. It seems that some areas are randomly chosen and others are left or only partially cleared. Then to enter the gully requires walking through long grass with uneven ground to get into the walking area. In summer, there is the issue of snakes, and that can be quite a deterrent. Another entry from Mile Street gets boggy when it rains. Troy Gully offers an off-road area on two sides of the gully to walk. However, there are limited formed walkways, with the rest being very narrow tracks worn down over time. For older residents or those with a disability, it is impossible to walk comfortably on these narrow tracks while trying to maintain a balance. There are quite a few trip hazards along the various paths, which could also cause a person to fall. There is a small bridge over the creek near the centre of the park, which currently is bordered on both sides by tall overgrowth in the waterway that sort of blocks the waterway up a bit. The bridge approaches have been mown. However, on the eastern approach, long grass borders the path, and the pathway is very undulating and difficult to walk on. The other issue is that when it rains, it can get very muddy in the gully, and so restricts people going there to do their usual exercise. At the time the photos provided were taken, there had been some slashing by council, but certain areas were left unslashed. We also noticed that some of the residents that back onto the gully from both the Bunanyong, the east side and the west side, had mown quite large areas at the rear of their properties, and access from Homestead Drive is also mown. Actually, just as I came to the door to come in here, I had one of the people from Homestead Drive ring me up and just ask a little bit what we were, clear up what we were talking about, and she said, "Good luck when I'm here." So I felt, that was good, because there's three of those residents there that do quite a lot there in the gully themselves, outside their own property. In the past, we've driven over to the walkways along the river because they are even and very pleasant to walk on. Seating is also provided along the walkways for people to rest. However, this involves travelling time and fuel costs when, if it was improved, Troy Gully would provide a walking area for local residents or residents in the eastern part of town to enjoy in all weather conditions. We would like to congratulate Council on the wonderful 20 kilometres of walkways provided for residents as they stroll, jog, run or ride bikes beside the river and up to the zoo in that big walkway right around there. Troy Gully is a beautiful area and has the potential to be an equally wonderful exercise area, wonderful area to exercise and enjoy the fresh air and natural surroundings. I also add that just on the way into town, coming in from Dunedoo, there's a beautiful new home being built there on the north side of the road, or the right side of the road, and they've got a lake there that is an extension of the Troy Gully thing. It's often got water in it, and it's a credit to the people that have done it, and it's also it really enhances that area to the town. And you look across to the left, and Troy Gully just sort of stretches away, a lot of long grass and not very nice. We're hoping that council would consider providing walkways similar to those on the western and southern sides of the town. We're only asking for a couple of kilometres of granite pathways through Troy Gully, clear access and some regular slashing.
Thank you, Mr. Salter. Right on time. Next up, we have Mr. Gary Todd on CCL 25/164 Causeway Crossing at Forestvale Road.
Councillors, my name's Gary Todd from Gollum. I'm also Deputy Captain of Rural Fire Service. I'm also on the executive of the Livestock and Bulk Carriers. We've been fighting, I'll go through this, Reether Crossing. On report November 21, we had an architect come out and see what it had cost to put a crossing in. Approximately 500 to 800,000 in total. In report on this council, which I have here on council, was went to Mr. Worry Wood. We've had meetings with the fisheries also. and now that was to clean the stream 120 metres downstream, but now that's been disbanded because they hadn't been done by council. As Fisheries did not give the okay for to dredge 120 metres downstream, but then changed their mind and only dredge 110 metres downstream. Have the letter of issues on this, can submit to the new council. Now the water is about 1 foot over the crossing at the moment. That's the 23rd of the 6th. And what it's done is the crossing, I had to go and get my vehicle fixed, which cost $2,196, and I had the water tested. And there's the water test from the crossing, and it's also affected all the bores. And this is what's causing the damage to all vehicles. We also have the fire brigades. If we use that to put our fire trucks in the shed, go across the creek, and you put it in, you can't shift the vehicles next day. You have to, the same as the cars, you have to try and go forward or backwards, and it does the damage. And that's what it's done to my vehicle and our other vehicles out there, our other neighbours. It's cost them $5,000 or $6,000. And I claimed insurance on this, and the council knocked it back. And these are the photos that we've had to cross over the crossing. I have heaps of photos. There's another one there. And it's also, that's with the fire trucks. So, sorry about this. We've had lots of meetings in the Golden Hall, and over now we've had not got one answer. Also, the farmers pay council a huge amount of rates. What do we get? Nothing. And back in, I'll have a look here on my sheet, back in 23 of the 8th 22. The Livestock and Bulk Carriers advised the council there was funding available on the 9th of September 1922. One of your council staff did ring me and asked how we get the funding, and I give them the executive number and the emails, and nothing happened. So we're still no further advanced with all the meetings we've had with council over the last council, the council before. We're still no further advanced. So there's not much more we can do. But if we've got to go and get the fire trucks out, we have to travel about 35 k's around. If we have an MVA, which we've had 3 MVAs out there in the last 3 weeks, and I've had to tend to the lot of them. So if we've got to go and get other fire trucks, we've got to call Erlong or Ballymore, because the same trucks will go through that crossing, or Coomabella, they've got to come across there. You put the brakes on overnight, you can't move the trucks. So it's safety first. And something's got to be done with this crossing, because we've been fighting it now for the last 4 to 5 years with the previous council before that, and we've got nowhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Todd. There's still a little bit of time left in the public forum. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Mr. Perry, yes, come up to the microphone, please. State your name and topic, and your 5 minutes will begin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and councillors and staff. So my name's Jacob Perry. I live on Terrabella Road, very important road. So what I'm here today to talk about is we have 11 kilometres of road frontage there, right round the property. And recently when council upgraded Terrabella Bridge and put the Armco there for the bizarre reason to save 4 or 5 trees, you got a million little suckers now growing in that Armco, and they're impossible to get at, because we used to slash all that road frontage there and keep it nice and clear to get rid of a fire hazard. So you got these suckers that are now, which will potentially lift the road, destroy the Armco, and then probably drop limbs all over our fence and let cattle out eventually. So it's creating a problem, and we need some attention there, whether we need the council to come out and remove the Armco entirely, or come and cut the suckers on a regular basis, because we can't use it anymore. We can't slash them with our slasher. It'll only bust the slasher, the ones we can get to. And this is a common occurrence now right along that roadway, and particularly in Barney's Gully. That road has been nearly up. It's been encroached by suckers ever more often. And because of the drainage of the former Wellington Shire, they never did it properly. It's backing up into our paddock. So it's creating a dam. So the whole road is a bit of a basket case. I think probably the most appropriate term for Terrabella Road is bitumen vomit, because everywhere you go along the road, there's a problem. So what sort of irks a lot of people up is council will come out and do all the potholes on Bennelong Road, then do a Yui either at the bridge or in our driveway and head back to Dubbo, despite there being potholes all along the road right up to our place and further back to Geary. So we need some attention, and the side of the road, which is becoming locally known as the tyre slasher, approximately 3 kilometres up towards Geary from our place, you get off the road, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You have to get off, you dare to pull your vehicle back on, you will slash a tyre. And this has become a regular occurrence, and we've had staff out there, we have had meetings out there, we have sent letters, goodness knows how many times, and my neighbours have, and nothing has been done with the edges. And you're finding the roads getting narrower and narrower and narrower because it's all just crumbling away. And particularly now with Scabbing Flat Bridge shut, it's becoming the main arterial detour route. So every time you get off the road, you destroy it a little bit more, but nothing gets done. And we've had emails, like several neighbours have been sending emails, and largely to no avail. So we need some attention out there, please. And I'd just like to say, like, I would commend the council for the works they have done on Arthurville Road recently, just south of Terrabella Road towards River Road. That's something that should be rectified a lot more out there. That's evidence of council doing a good job. But we just ask you to come that extra 3 kilometres our way so we don't have a daily occurrence of slashing tyres. It's about the only benefit for that would be if you owned a tyre business. You'd do pretty well out of it. But I just, on a final note, many of those roads out that way are very neglected. And the time for patch-ups is over. We need, like you have done on Arthurville Road, a proper rip-up and redo, because these roads are going to, especially if Scabbing Flat Bridge is shut any longer, going to get destroyed if they're not maintained and they're not looked after properly. So, and on a final note, reiterating Mr. Todd's comments, because I will put my hand up, I use Forest Vale Road a bit. I think the most logical solution there would be to put a bridge there, because it is very corrosive crossing for your vehicle. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. We've still got a couple of minutes left. If there's anyone else that would like to speak, Mr. Conn, please step forward and usual rules, state your name and the topic, and then your 5 minutes will begin.
I want to speak on the topic of same thing on the Forest Vale Causeway, CCL 25/164. I'd like to commend the Deputy Mayor for bringing this subject up and getting this report done. And there's quite a few holes in it. This crossing in the history in the past is cement, and it's actually got a culvert underneath. And since the drought and finished in January 2020, that's when this water started to pond and stay over the top of the crossing because of the silting below. We've had a couple of meetings with council out there over the years, so they're all the third council now. We're trying to get this job done and get it fixed. We've had one in the 7th of October 2020 and one on the 22nd of August 2022. The council put in their report here that there's no funding available to put a bridge crossing there, and however there's no structural damage there, so therefore it just comes back to, you've written in your report here, it's considered as maintenance. Well, maintenance in my eyes is something that should be done quite easy. and you did apply for a fishing through the fisheries back, and the permit expired in 28th of October 2022, and I'm assuming that permit you had for 12 months, and you did not have a chance to put a 20-ton excavator in there that would take 1 day to do the job to clean that out for that water to flow. And the trouble is, it would take the staff and a lot more time and effort to get that fishing permit to get in there and do that job when that job should have been done in 1 day. And we're using excuses that it's too soft and we can't do the job. I'm sure there's plenty of excavator drivers that could do that job. And I think maintenance needs to be done urgently, because we can't sit back and wait for the VPA money coming from Spices Creek Wind Farm. You say it takes 2 years to plan a bridge and 1 year to build. That's another 3, and we're already up to 5.5 years. Enough's enough, and urgent maintenance needs to be done straight away. Thank you.
Thank you. There's time for one more person. If there's anyone who desperately would like to speak, yes, please come up to the microphone, state your name and the topic, and take it away. Thanks.
This time I'll get it right. My name's Mary Caton, and I've been here in October last year and early this year. I can't remember this year when I came, but I just wanted to remind councillors that I asked you to look at the Port Hedland documents about the writing to the government about the safety of the COVID vaccinations. The Australian government has now put out, published, that the vaccine is not recommended for healthy infants, children and adolescents under the ages of 18, because the risk outweighs the benefit. So I hope council will now have a look at this and take some further action about it, because it's still being pushed on people to have vaccines before they can get a job. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That concludes public forum. We now move on to CCL 25/143, confirmation of minutes from the ordinary council meeting held 27 May 2025. Do I have someone to move that, please? Councillor Chowdhury, thank you. And a seconder, Councillor Wright, thank you. Councillor Chowdhury, would you like to speak to your motion?
No, all good, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Was there anyone that wanted to make any change? Councillor Butler.
Yes, if I could just draw our attention to page 16, where it talks about the fluoridation motion, and I just wanted to note that it has on the for the motion was El Butler, myself, and Councillor Toynton, and it also has on the against Councillor Butler and Councillor Toynton. So if we could just tidy that up so that there's only Toynton and Butler on the against side.
Thank you. Yes, that can be done.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Any further debate, councillors? There being none, the mover, Councillor Chowdhury, write a reply to.
All good, Mr. Mayor.
Happy with that. Thank you. Councillors, I will now open the electronic voting. Please cast your votes. With Councillor Ivey joining online as well, I'd note. Councillors, I will now close the voting. Carried unanimously. The next item is CCL 25/144, mayoral appointments and meetings. I'll move that. Is there a seconder somewhere? Councillor Toynton, thank you. It's all just in the report. Any debate, councillors? There being none, I'll move that. I will put that to the vote. Please cast your votes electronically. I'll now close the voting. Carried unanimously. The next item is CCL 25/145, mayoral expenses for May 2025. I'll move that. Is there a seconder, please, somewhere? Councillor Cowley, thank you. It's all in the report as read. Any debate, councillors? There being none, I'll open the electronic voting. Please cast your votes. I'll now close the voting. Carried unanimously. CCL 25/146 investment under section 625 of the Local Government Act, May 2025. Do I have someone to move that, please? Councillor Chowdhury, seconded by Councillor Ryan. Thank you. Councillor Chowdhury, would you like to speak to that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just saying, like a council is earning a bit extra money from this interest hike, so it can be used for the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further debate, councillors? Councillor Butler.
Just a question. Can any of that money be used for general purposes, for capital? Oh, sorry. Yeah. I was wondering if any of that 300 million can be used. Is it all, how would you call it, protected money, or is there any of it that's open to general funds?
Through the CEO to the Director, Ms Bassingthwaighte.
Yes, those funds can be used for general purposes. It is split between general fund, water fund, and sewer fund. The last adjustment was just done in the March quarter, and it is believed that the forecast to the end of the year, with all the end of year adjustments, is on par with the budget. So currently, in this current financial year, the interest that we earn is budgeted for and accounted for in the current budget and future budgets.
Thank you. Councillor Butler, anything further to that?
No, thanks. Very kind.
Thank you. Any other debate, councillors? There being none, we'll put that motion. I'll open the voting. Please cast your votes. I'll now close the voting. Carried unanimously. Next item is CCL 25/147, monthly reporting snapshot for councillors, May 2025. Do I have someone to move that report, please? Councillor Richardson, thank you, and seconded by Councillor Cowley. Councillor Richardson, would you like to speak to your motion?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any further debate, councillors? There being none, I'll now open the electronic voting. Please cast your votes. I'll now close the voting. Carried unanimously. The next item is CCL 25/148, quarterly report on complaint statistics under Council's Code of Conduct, Quarter 3. Do I have someone to move that, please? Councillor Chowdhury, and seconded by Councillor Cowley. Thank you. Councillor Chowdhury, would you like to speak to that?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any further debate, councillors? Councillor Wright.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just a question on one there. I noticed the second one there talks about one that was reviewed by the Office of Local Government. Is there an outcome with respect to that? How much of that can we sort of ask and can be revealed here?
Through to the CEO, who is online.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We can't actually discuss details. Matters that would get considered and get referred back to the elected body necessarily come to you. So under the procedures for the administration of the Code of Conduct, they all have to be confidential, but we haven't had further updates unless Ms. Rouse can provide any further information from the Office of Local Government in that regard.
Ms. Rouse?
I actually did follow up today and they have no update as yet.
Thank you. Councillor Wright, anything further?
No, that's fine. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Anything else, councillors? There being none, I'll now open the electronic voting. Please cast your votes. I'll now close the voting. Carried unanimously. Item CCL 25/149, report of the Audit Risk and Improvement Committee meeting 2 June 2025. Do I have someone to move that, please? Councillor Wright, seconded by Councillor Chowdhury. Councillor Wright, would you like to speak to that at all?
No, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other debate, councillors? There being none, I'll now put that motion. Please cast your votes electronically. I'll now close the voting. Carried unanimously. Item CCL 25/150, report of the Infrastructure Planning and Environment Committee meeting 10 June 2025, moved by Councillor Butler, seconded by Councillor Chowdhury. Thank you. Councillor Butler, would you like to speak to your motion?
I have a conflict.
Thank you, Councillor Chowdhury. Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, I have a CCL 25/150. I have a pecuniary significant conflict regarding that mass group properties for that subdivision they're doing. If there's any debate, I'll leave the room.
Righto. Thank you. Yep. Councillors, Councillor Butler, anything for that?
No, I haven't got anything further to add.
Anything further, councillors? There being nothing, I'll open the electronic voting. Please cast your votes. I'll now close the voting. Carried unanimously, and if someone could please invite Councillor Chowdhury back into the room. The next item is CCL 25/151, report of the Culture and Community Committee meeting 10 June 2025. Do I have someone to move that report, please? Councillor Richardson, seconded by Councillor Toynton. Councillor Richardson, would you like to speak to that at all?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any other debate, councillors? There being none, I'll open the electronic voting. Please cast your votes. I'll now close the voting. Carried unanimously. The next item is CCL 25/152, report of the Corporate Services Committee meeting 10 June 2025. Councillor Richardson, I believe that you have an alternative motion to move.
I do, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move CCL 25/152, save and accept item CSC 25/58, which will be dealt with separately.
Thank you. And someone to second that, Councillor Chowdhury. Councillor Richardson, would you like to speak to your motion at all?
No, thank you, but I would like to move an alternate motion. No? Next one? Okay.
Yep, that's good. Any further debate, Councillor Wright?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just noting that's that amount is actually that's where are we here again? It's actually 38, not 58. Actually, was just a correction to that.
CC 25/38.
38, not 58.
Yep, that's right. Yep. Okay. Any other debate, councillors? No, there being none. Oh, Councillor Butler.
Yeah, is this the right place to bring up about the wording, or is that another time? Next one, is it?
All right, done that one. Next one, apparently. Any other debate on this one, councillors, before we get on to the budget section? No. I'll now open the voting. Please cast your votes electronically. Doesn't seem to be working there up on the screen. We might just do it by... Oh, righto. Finish the voting and it will show up. Has everyone cast their votes? Please let me know if you haven't. We'll stop the voting and hopefully it'll all appear. On the screens, there we go. It says yes, carried unanimously. The next item is CSC 25/38, draft 2025-2026 budget, operational plan and associated documents, results of public exhibition. Do I have a councillor to move that, please? Councillor Richardson, seconded by Councillor Toynton. Councillor Richardson, would you like to speak to that motion at all?
Yes, please, Mr. Mayor. So I'd like to move an alternate motion as follows. CSC 25/38, draft 2025 budget, 2025-26 budget, operational plan and associated documents, results of the public exhibition. Number 1, that the following draft documents be adopted. Draft 25 to 29 delivery program and 25-26 operational plan, Appendix 1. Draft 25-26 budget and forward forecast for 26-27, 27-28, 28-29, including capital expenditure. Draft 25-26 fees and charges, Appendix 2. Draft 25-26 statement of revenue policy, Appendix 3. Draft 25 to 29 resourcing strategy, including the long-term financial plan, workforce management strategy and asset management strategy, Appendix 4. Draft 25-26 Macquarie Regional Library operational plan, budget and fees and charges, Appendix 5. That the finalised documents, once adopted, will commence operation on the 1st of July 2025. That it be noted that the 25 to 29 delivery program, the 25-26 operational plan and budget do not reflect the federal government commitment to the Parks electorate of $2 million for street trees in the Dubbo CBD. That authority be delegated to the Chief Executive Officer to approve any minor administrative corrections prior to publication and authorise the relevant staff to implement any such corrections. That those who made a submission be advised of Council's determination on this matter.
Thank you. Councillor Toynton, happy to second that. Yep, seconded by Councillor Toynton. Councillor Richardson, would you like to speak to that motion that you've just moved at all?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Any other debate, councillors, on that? Councillor Chowdhury?
So this is the time we bring them. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, this is a great time to bring, listen to the community and bring those issues and try to push for. And I would like to thank you, all these community members who have reached out, all our fellow councillors and raised their voice. So I would like to bring a amendment to that. The new action to be added on to the 2025-26 operational plan as follows: develop and partnership with businesses and community groups using existing resources to enhance the Christmas experience in the Dubbo CBD.
Thank you. And a second. Oh, is there more?
I have another one.
Yeah, right. Yeah, do them together.
Okay. Yeah. And another one is also the new action to be added in to the 2025-26 operational plan as follows: undertaking the preparation and implementation of the consultation plan to facilitate the development of a multicultural strategy. Thank you.
Thank you. And a seconder for Councillor Chowdhury's two amendments. Councillor Ryan, thank you. Councillor Chowdhury, would you like to speak to those?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just briefly, every time I push for this Christmas things, because we have listened to the community and community always want to do something more, but we have the allocated money is not sufficient. So I'm pushing for this budget time to say, talk to the director also, if we can have a partnership with the local businesses and the community groups and make it more lively to the community groups and for the community to make sure they can enjoy that Christmas vibe. And other one is a bit more the strategy for next financial year. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further to debate there, councillors? Further comment? Councillor Wright?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. It was only a little bit of clarity about that final one that Councillor Chowdhury just brought up, just with respect to the implementing that the consultation plan for the multicultural strategy. I just wanted to understand that process and just make sure that there's not an additional cost with respect to that it needs to be budgeted for. Just wonder if I can get a bit of clarity from that, maybe from the relevant director. Thanks.
From the through to CEO, who's not here, to the relevant director, Mr. Arms.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. At this stage, the motion there would talk to the consultation work required in the early stages, in the foundation stages, yet important stages of a multicultural strategy development. So we have a multicultural committee, which we've had one meeting, and we look to have quarterly meetings of that group. That would be a foundation, a very important group to drive community consultation forward for the coming operational period, and that'll allow us to really get our ourselves prepared to launch into a more formal and coordinated, more wide-ranging community consultation program, perhaps in the following operational year, which would incur a budget element as well as developing the plan in that period. So I would say next period would be internal consultation using the committee, preparing to go into the following budget with a more formal approach, going broader community.
Thank you. Councillor Wright, anything further?
No, thank you. That's great.
Any further debate, councillors, on those 2 points of Councillor Chowdhury's? There being none, Councillor Chowdhury, anything further?
No, all good,
Really?
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. We'll put that to the vote, those 2 points of Councillor Chowdhury's amendment there, councillors. I've now opened the voting. Please cast your votes electronically. I'll now close the voting. Motion carried. Any further debate, councillors, or amendments? Councillor Chowdhury.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have another amendment that the 2025-26 fees and charges in respect of the cattle feeding fee per head to be adjusted to 10 cents for the stock sold in the Dubbo Regional Livestock Market sale, inclusive GST.
A seconder for that anywhere? Councillor Cowley, thank you. Councillor Chowdhury, would you like to speak to that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I'd briefly mention like you might, we all have heard from the Mr. Simmons tonight, and we always have this Dubbo livestock market is always a critical infrastructure and business for Dubbo region, and they not only bringing the only cattle, they have a lot of livelihood, a lot of businesses are involved. So as we hearing from that group, it's really gonna hurt if we increase to 50 cents. So I'll encourage and request to all the my fellow councillors to make it support this 10 cents. Go ahead and make it more visible for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further debate, councillors, or questions? Councillor Wright.
Just a question, thanks, Mr. Mayor. It does say just livestock. Are we talking sheep and cattle the same fee there, just the 10 cents?
Councillor Chowdhury.
Yeah, it's not for the sheep because they're happy to keep the sheep as it is.
So I don't have a copy of that in front of me, but do we need to just change the wording there a little bit to say cattle?
Yep.
No. Thank you. Cattle feeding fee. That's all right. It says that the 25-26 fees and charges in respect to the cattle feeding fee per head be adjusted to 10 cents for stock sold. Thank you. So it'll just be the cattle. Any other debate? Councillors, questions? Councillor Cowley.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. So the just to be clear, the sheep would remain at 5 cents per head, and the cattle fee would be reduced from 50 cents to 10.
That would be my understanding, but we'll just check with through the CEO to the director. Ms. Bassingwaite.
The remain would be the fee that was advertised. I'll double check what the actual fee was, but yes, it remain as advertised.
5 cents from memory. Any other debate or questions? Clarification, councillors? No. There being none, Councillor Chowdhury, would you like a right or reply to any of that stuff?
No, all good. Thank you.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
It's actually Kate's right of reply.
Oh, it is too. Forgot about that. Councillor Richardson, right or reply to anything there as the mover of the original motion?
No, thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I'll put that then, councillors. I've opened the electronic voting. Please cast your votes. I'll now close the voting. Carried 10 votes to 1. Any further amendments? Councillor Cowley.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I have a couple of amendments to the budget papers, if I may. Firstly, that a report be provided to Council in April 2026, following on from the amendment that we've just carried, reviewing the impact, effectiveness and efficiency of the new charges for the DRLM related to feeder fees. And secondly, that a new action be added to the 2025-26 operational plan, that Council develop in consultation with key stakeholders an adaptive reuse plan for the former animal shelter infrastructure in Dubbo.
Thank you. A seconder for that. Councillor Chowdhury was first. Councillor Cowley, would you like to speak to that amendment?
Yes, thank you. I note the passion with which the livestock industries that is brought to the table by Mr. Simmons and others, and I believe that a trial period and coming back to the table after 12 months to just review the results and in fact see if there is any impact on animal welfare and the throughput for the stock, the Dubbo regional livestock markets would be wise. And the amendment with regard to the motion, the adding to the operational plan, the council develop in consultation with key stakeholders the alternative uses for the former animal shelter infrastructure. The new animal shelter is fantastic and it's a wonderful facility. What happens to the old one is up for grabs. When we toured the facility while the new one was being built, there was discussion as to what might happen with the old infrastructure. And it became apparent that to knock it down was going to be somewhat counterproductive and counterintuitive cost-wise. But also the fact that it may well be beyond its life in terms of an animal shelter for humans and animals, but it still has life left. And I think it would be unwise and wasteful of us to pull the thing down or before we have investigated all the options. One of those options would be to perhaps repurpose it for emergency shelter for animals, for instance, women escaping or people escaping domestic violence. It is a real problem that people don't necessarily leave violent situations at home because they don't have options for their pets. It's also a fact that a number of older people need to go into care urgently and can't take their pets with them. So repurposing that facility for the use as an emergency accommodation for pets would be just one of the uses, but I think to put it into the operational plan that we at least investigate what can be done with those facilities is a wise use of council resources.
Thank you. Anything further to that? Councillors, further debate? Councillor Toynton?
So just a question. Sorry.
Yeah, you're on.
So through you, Mr Mayor, to Councillor Cowley, is this amendment that you've put forward, is this as per the email that went to all councillors? Has this been reviewed? There was mention of a trial in your original email, but it's not on here. Has this been changed or is this as per the email?
Councillor Cowley, if you wish to answer.
To be honest, I didn't actually look.
Or we can go to the director.
But yes, I would imagine that is as per my original email, yes. Is there a concern?
Thank you, Councillor Cowley. Councillor Toynton, anything further?
Yeah, so it just makes mention in the email of a trial period, but it's not mentioned on this report, so that's why I thought we've got two bits of conflicting information.
Thank you. Anything further, councillors? There being nothing further, we will put that to the vote. Those two, the fees for the sale yards being looked at in, was it April next year, and the use of the old animal shelter, a plan for that. Councillor Richardson, any right or reply to anything there?
No, thanks, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillors, I'll open the voting electronically. Please cast your votes. Done together. Councillors, I'll close the voting. Carried 10 votes to 1. Councillor Ryan with another amendment.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. The amendment I'd like to make is in regards to Scabbing Flat Bridge. I'd like to move the following amendment to be added as the next point to the original motion, that a new action be added to the 25-26 operational plan as follows. Work with Transport New South Wales to have the New South Wales Government undertake and complete environmental studies that are able to inform a potential new Scabbing Flat Bridge design that meets the needs of the agricultural sector and a high productivity vehicles.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Toynton Flinch there, first of all. Councillor Ryan, would you like to speak to that motion?
Yeah, I would. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Look, I think if we show community that, you know, there's been too much back and forth about who's responsible for this Scabbing Flat Bridge. So I think if we stand up and say we're committed to working with transport, it's going to show a good sign that, you know, people of the Geary area especially can put their trust in us to say we are actually trying to solve the problem. You know, like I said, there's been too much back and forth, and if we can work with transport, it'll be a step in the right direction.
Thank you. Any further debate, councillors? No. Councillor Richardson for a right of reply.
No, thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, Councillor Ivey, too slow. We've already gone on. Councillors, I'll open the electronic voting. Please cast your votes. I'll now close the voting. Carried unanimously. Councillors, any further debate or amendments? Councillor Butler.
Yes, I just wanted, again, amendment. I'll just read it out. I'd like to move the following amendment to be added to the next point of the original motion, that the 2025-29 delivery program strategic pillar theme, healthy environment and sustainable future activity, quote, encourage and support investment in renewable energy opportunities, be reworded to recognise, to quote, recognise downstream opportunities arising from weather-dependent technologies.
Thank you. A seconder? Councillor Toynton, thank you. Councillor Butler, would you like to speak to your motion?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm on. Okay. Yes, so just in that section on the strategic pillar, healthy environment and sustainable future activity, I certainly am on the, how would you call it, the understanding that renewable energies, as we know them, i.e. turbines and solar panels, are neither healthy for the environment nor sustainable for future activity. And I think I have probably mentioned a few of these things before. I think the Madrid example where when they went to 100% renewables and they had a complete two-week blackout. So what we're seeing is that renewable energies actually cannot sustain our future in terms of electrical requirements. The other thing too, is people may not have known, is that in that Iberian Peninsula, the renewable energies which they had, which amounted to many gigawatts, were also unable to restart the grid once it had collapsed. I don't know if a lot of people realise that. So in order to restart the grid, they had to hook into France. And France, of course, is 50+% nuclear driven. So what I'm thinking, it's important to recognise that, you know, we've put this statement in that this is actually under healthy environment, where, you know, we're well aware now with the Strathclyde report, the Solberg report, and many other sources of information that tell us quite clearly that these renewable, well, let's not call them renewable, unless you want to say that every 20 years they get renewed. In that sense, they're renewable. But in terms of what we understand to be renewable energies, are actually not healthy and not clean and not green. And in fact, I think more trees have probably been cut down in the name of wind farms and solar farms than we care to look at. So what I wanted to do is, it's always important wording. So really what we need to recognise is what we call renewable energy is actually a weather-dependent technology. So i.e., as the Germans have called it, the Dunkelflauters, which means when it's dark and when it's still, you don't have power. And so that means you need a completely equivalent, generally natural gas-fired system to take over from the solar and of course batteries are in there to firm to some degree, but when we're talking high power draws, they're only going to give us a few hours, which is not going to be, really won't meet the task. So we need to recognise that renewable energy, what we call renewable energy, is actually weather dependent technology, and as such, as these technologies cannot sustain us into the future and are not clean and green, we shouldn't encourage or support investment in them as such. But we could, given that to one degree we've been presented with a fait accompli, in the sense that the state is going to voice these things on us whether we like them or not. I just say we need to just say to recognise downstream opportunities, so that obviously there will be some opportunities resulting from these disastrous investments, shall we call them, arising from weather-dependent technology. So that's essentially what I wanted to do, was just to reword that so it more accurately describes what we're trying to do, rather than what you might call a virtue signalling, where we're just sort of dipping our lid to somehow suggest that these things are in any way renewable, clean or green, or even sustainable, which are the catchwords, and they totally do not fulfill any of those, as has been amply demonstrated by Germany, who has now reactivated their coal-fired power stations, and has been demonstrated by the Iberian Peninsula's complete disaster that they had. I think it was nearly 2 weeks before they were able to restart using French power. They couldn't do it with renewables because renewables don't have system inertia. So that's where it's very important that we understand the difference between generation of electricity, which is coal and nuclear, as opposed to gathering of energy, which is solar and wind. It doesn't actually generate, it gathers. All right. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Any debate on that, councillors? Councillor Wright?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Look, I do support in part Councillor Butler's comment with respect to those downstream opportunities, but weather dependent technologies, I'm not sure if I can support that part. Well, if we talk solar and wind, certainly weather dependent, but we're talking also pumped hydro. That's not necessarily weather dependent. Biomass, I know there's a bit of conjecture about that in the parks electorate at the moment, but certainly that's not weather dependent either. Ocean energy, probably not our backyard, but that's not weather dependent either. And geothermal isn't weather dependent either. So there's a number of things that come under renewable energy. No, it's not solar and wind that could fall under that renewable energy description. So I wouldn't be happy to remove renewable energy out of there, because it does cover a lot more than just solar and wind. Certainly the downstream opportunities, I do understand. I'm happy to support that part of it. So thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Dickerson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I couldn't disagree more with Councillor Butler's concept that he brought forward here. We do have a huge opportunity in this LGA with renewable energy, and that's what people understand when we see some of the projects, and some of the projects that Councillor Wright's talked about there in terms of maybe geothermal, maybe hydropower, batteries. So there are other things that are not necessarily weather dependent, but it's really trying to put a negative spin on something that's very positive for LGA, very positive in terms of the investment opportunities, and also looking at the future. And I've heard some councillors talk about the legacy they might leave behind, and going forward a generation or two and looking back at decisions that this council might make, which may well happen. And I'd be embarrassed to be sitting there with my grandkids in a nursing home saying we were the council that wanted to bring back coal because coal was good for, I'm not sure, for people that produce coal, but that's about it. I just don't see that the 65% of power that we produce with coal now is going to be there long term. We're moving to renewables. The world's moving to renewables. There's only a very small section of the world that still is hanging on to coal, and they're probably people that generate income or generate some money from coal, but the rest of the world has realised we're moving on. I think what we say at the moment in our particular document that Councillor Butler is referring to, we encourage and support investment in renewable energy opportunities. What a great thing for us to do. We've done that so far. We're seeing money flow in. We're seeing businesses. We're seeing Wellington be revitalised. There are so many things that are happening that are positive from our encouragement and support. Not that we're investing in it, but we're encouraging and supporting renewable energy opportunities. I don't think saying to someone, you know what, we're recognising downstream opportunities arising from weather-dependent technologies has the same ring as we want to support renewable energy opportunities. They're on our doorstep. We're being blinded by other philosophies. If we don't take advantage of that, it's going to happen. Why not be on the bus rather than be standing there, watch the bus go past us and missing out on those opportunities? This is a once-in-a-generation opportunity for Wellington to be revitalised. I think we're missing it if we start playing around with wording for things that give a negative twist. Future generations will look back on us very harshly if we don't see these opportunities are there now and be encouraging. I can't believe we're even talking about this, encouraging more coal. How many trees and environmental damage have we put into the ground from coal mining, and yet we're talking about doing more coal mining? Wow, it's incredible. So I couldn't disagree more with this amendment from Councillor Butler.
Further debate, councillors? There being none online. Councillor Richardson for a right of reply to anything there.
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Just to refresh our memories, Councillor Butler, could you just read out that amendment again, please?
Okay, yes. That the 2025-29 delivery program strategic pillar theme, healthy environment and sustainable future activity, quote, encourage and support investment in renewable energy opportunities, unquote, be reworded to, quote, recognise downstream opportunities arising from weather-dependent technologies, unquote. And just, could I very quickly ask a question?
No,
all right.
Thank you. Councillors, that's what we're voting on. I'll open the electronic voting. Please cast your votes for or against that amendment. Councillors, I'll now close the voting. Lost 4 votes to 7. Further amendments, councillors. Councillor Butler.
Yeah. All right. I was just wondering if I changed it to
no
alternative.
No, you'd have to wait 3 months, or that would have to be rescinded.
All right. So I just thought
so you won't be able to. Did you have another?
If they're not happy with weather dependent, would alternative be a better word?
Too late now.
Too late now.
You'd have to rescind it or wait 3 months.
All right.
Did you have another one on to move?
In relation to this one, or?
Oh, no, that's all right. Any other amendments or discussion, councillors? Oh, Councillor Ivey.
Yeah, you got me this time. Thank you. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move. There are 2 amendments which I'd like to move. The first one, and they need to be dealt with separately, I think, because they are quite separate issues. The first one, if I can propose that Council increase the 2025-26 budget allocation for the old Wellington Police Station from $17,056 to $25,000 for repairs and maintenance and operational costs to be funded from the Arts and Culture branch budget. That the $25,000 budget includes a provision of $8,000 to cover the first year operating expenses incurred by a lessee of Lot 2 DP 1206548, which is actually the old Wellington Police Station. So the motion then is to increase the funding allocation from $17,000 to $25,000.
Thank you. A seconder for that? Councillor Cowley. Councillor Ivey, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The old Wellington Police Station, as we know, is now occupied by the Wellington Museum and Historical Society, and where the Wellington Museum has relocated from its previous building on the corner of Percy and Warren Street. Now, the Historical Society is a group of volunteers that's been a complete change in the committee over the last couple of years. Young, vital. They really are interested in preserving the heritage of Wellington and showing it to the public. They've got a great ambition to really build the profile of the Wellington Museum, because it really does complement what Dubbo has with the Western Plains Cultural Centre. The two really are got a lot of synergies. The trouble is with the society is that, like a lot of volunteer organisations, they are very short of cash. They see lots of opportunities to further develop the old police station, and which is council owned, of course, but obviously for the benefit of the historical precinct within Wellington. So just by increasing the allocation to give them some extra funding so that they can get through this year to look at some improvements to the old police station would have tremendous benefits to the Historical Society, and hence the application to just have a modest increase in the amount of funding that they to receive. Thank you.
Thank you. Any debate on that, councillors? Councillor Cowley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Ivey, for the proposed amendment. The preservation of history is never a bad thing, as far as I'm concerned. Is there any? Can we get any idea from either directors or from Councillor Ivey as to where that little bit extra, and it is only a modest amount, as Councillor Ivey says, where that might come from?
Through the CEO to the Director, Mr. Arms.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. From the operational budget, I would say, Councillor Cowley, so that the 17 was set aside initially, and with meetings with the group, that amount was identified as potential outgoings as part of lease discussions, but we were able to find that money within our existing budget and allocate it in this fashion. So minimal impact across the entire budget, but and with the benefit of what the motion is intending to achieve.
Councillor Cowley, does that answer the query?
I think so. So, Mr. Arms, through you, Mr. Chairman, and through Ms. Bassingthwaite, that's a yes?
Through the CEO to Mr. Arms.
Sorry, Councillor, I get so wound up I get too lazy to stop. Yes is the answer to that question.
Thank you. Any further debate on that? Councillor Chowdhury.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the relevant director. So how much is total budget for art and culture budget, and we're deducting that 8,000 from?
Through the CEO to who would be best placed to answer that? Ms. Bassingthwaite will make a start.
In the budget papers, we do have the complete operational budget. It is a complete, simple answer based on the question. But the Western Plains Cultural Centre does have an operating deficit of 2.9 million for the next year.
And Mr. Arms, was there anything to add further? No? Anything further, councillors? Councillor Cowley?
May I ask of the relevant director, that being Ms. Bassingthwaite, I guess, am I to understand that this money might come from the bottom line of the Western Plains Cultural Centre?
Through the CEO to Ms. Bassingthwaite.
Interpreting what Mr. Arms has said about the item, the budget had been allocated, and it was posed in the first draft of the budget that due to the lease arrangement that was proposed in a council resolution, that savings that the lease would have, that cultural group is contributing a bit more to that facility, was allocated somewhere else. They were now able to reallocate that budget back to the function, as in the museum in Wellington.
Thank you. Anything further, councillors? There being nothing further and nothing online, we'll go back to the mover of the original motion for a right of reply to anything there. Councillor Richardson.
No thanks, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillors, while we'll now open the voting. Councillor Ivey, you should have stayed on. Councillor Ivey.
Just a question, Mr Mayor. Sorry, what are we voting on? Are we voting on my amendment?
Your amendment, yes. Yep.
So why I moved it, didn't I? What did Councillor Richardson?
Mover of the original motion. I got caught out too earlier. That's all right. Please cast your votes electronically, councillors, on Councillor Ivey's motion. Councillors, I'll now close the voting. Carried unanimously. Councillors, is there any further debate or amendments? Councillor Ivey, you had another one. That's right, I forgot. Thank you, Mr Ryan beside me. Councillor Ivey.
Yes, the other motion is that I would like to move is that council allocate $250,000 in the 25-26 budget to fund additional toilet facilities at Cameron Park, Wellington. And 2, that the design and specification of the additional facilities be finalised after consideration of the Dubbo Regional Public Toilet Strategy, which is expected in August 25, and having regard, though, to the $250,000 budget allocation. And number 3, that staff prepare a list of options from where the funding could be sought, including alternative projects for which funding has been allocated within the budget, but which in reality will not be ready in time, and where that funding is likely to be held over to 25 to 26, 27 in any event, and that the option of deficit budget funding be considered.
A seconder for that. Councillor Butler. Councillor Ivey, would you like to speak to that? Councillor Ivey, we've lost you. Come back.
Can you
hear
hear
he
me
is.
now?
Yes, you're back.
Look, thank you very much, Mr Mayor. Look, I feel very strongly about the need for extra toilet facilities within Cameron Park. As we've had discussions before, Cameron Park is an absolute premier area within Wellington. It's an area which is got a fantastic amenity. It attracts tourists, it attracts visitors, it attracts people just to come and enjoy the area. But it also is the venue for some major events, being obviously the Australia Day ceremony, the Anzac Day, some of the other First Nations celebrations. In the park at present, there are three toilets, cubicles available. For a park that size, where it has that degree of visitation, 3 toilets plus one disabled toilet is insufficient. It doesn't do the whole area justice. I mean, most houses have got 2 toilets. Many houses have got 3 toilets. You've got a house with 3 toilets, the same as a major public park. Now, I know that there's been some talk about development in adjacent Pioneer Park, and that will have a toilet facility there too. But I just think that that there is a need to revisit the toilets within Cameron Park, adjacent to the little play area there, adjacent to the public recreation area, and adjacent to Pioneer Park. So the original discussion that we had called for council to come back with a redesign or a design for the sort of design of the existing toilet facilities, and there's some areas there which could be incorporated into extra cubicles. And it just seems to me that that would be a much more preferable option than sort of building or duplicating the toilet facilities. In other words, redesign the existing facilities. And I'd just love to see a report come back to Council in August, which gave that redesign. It is certainly indicated, preliminary indications are that it could be done for less than $250,000. So there may well be some change left over. But I just think that we as a council should do something for the betterment of Cameron Park to try to restore it to something like its former glory, and improving some of the amenity facilities within there would be a first good step. Thank you.
Further debate, councillors. Councillor Butler.
Yes, I certainly would like to support this, and I call on my other councillors too as well. Certainly, Cameron Park is, as Councillor Ivey said, is a premier park in this whole LGA. It's the equivalent of the Dubbo's Victoria Park, which is the premier park here, and so I think it does need a facility to commensurate with that. It's not a little backwater park, which only it is a, how would you call it, a crown jewel perhaps in the Wellington tourism cache, if you want to call it that. And we need to put our best foot forward when it comes to tourism, and when it also comes to the amenity of our local residents. And I do understand there is the Pioneer Park development going up, but let me put it in reverse. I mean, that is a fair way away all the same. It's a bit like the same argument for the library. If you're a parent and you've got children perhaps in the playground there, which is a wonderful facility, and you're not going to walk roughly 200 metres over a bridge and into another park to use the facility and then come back to the playground. I don't think that's a reasonable expectation. And so the other thing, if you put that in reverse, what if we were to say to the Pioneer Park people, who use that park, oh, we're not going to go ahead with the toilet block because all the people in the sporting ground on Pioneer Park can just cross the bridge and use the toilets in Cameron Park. It wouldn't hold traction, would it? So that's what I'm trying to say, that to use that logic in reverse is just as unreasonable as expecting. I mean, thankfully we're getting the Redferns to build something apparently, but it's just as unreasonable to say, well, let's not have a Pioneer Park block and just let everyone in Pioneer Park use the facilities in Cameron Park. The Pioneer Park needs to be for the sporting facilities that they've got and for the people using that facility in that area. Cameron Park needs to have its own area where the parents and the children in that playground can use facilities without having to walk, half a mile, as it were, figuratively, to go and find something, which I think is unreasonable. So, yes, also, Councillor Ivey mentioned about a redesign. Perhaps that's something we could look at. Certainly the parent room at the back of that block is quite large. And when I've had a look at it, I believe it could possibly incorporate somehow another design with more cubicles that could be used in that. So it's more of a redevelopment of the existing facility rather than a new facility. And I'm open to that. That's fine. But yes, I certainly would like to encourage. And I think too, like I did get one comment, they said, oh, well, I personally haven't seen a lineup, at the park. Well, I mean, sure. A lot of the time in low usage areas and low time, you're not going to see a lineup. But it's the concern is in the peak times, isn't it? When you have the big functions, whether it be Australia Day, whether it be Rotary Markets, or the many other functions, or Anzac Day, or anything else that goes on in the park as a community event, that's when the peak times. And if you looked in the papers relevant to this budget, you would have seen the report by the Progress Association Wellington and Emily Holmes as well, who had pictures, evidence of, large queues of people waiting for the use of the loos. So I don't think that's a fair thing to say, oh, I went down there once and I didn't see a line. I think that's just not, representative of the whole thing. So please can I encourage us, we have an amazing park. and I think it needs an amazing facility. And I think parents aren't going to walk across the bridge with a child, to access a facility that's sort of in the region, but it's not next door. They need to have something where they can just keep an eye on the kids there and help someone to the loo and then come back and look after the other kids or whatever. And the other suggestion was the Malian. Well, I regularly have coffee at the Malian, and they do not offer their loo as a public loo. That is just not there. And when I spoke to the staff, they said, no, that's a staff toilet. It is not open to the public. So let's not use that as an example that they've got somehow extra toilets. Okay? So I think it's incumbent on us as a council. Our core directive is to provide convenience for our constituents, particularly the area of toilets is a very big concern for councils. And this has been inadequate, and many constituents have raised the concern over many years, and I think that we need to finally get this moving to show them that we do actually listen to them. I think they're starting to lose heart, and that's a concern. So please, let's vote for this bill. Motion. Sorry.
Thank you. Councillor Wright, and it looks like Councillor Wells is online with something to say.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. It's just a question. I'm keen to try and support this if I can. Point 3, last line, it reads the option of deficit budget funding. Could that also be reworded as from restricted assets for capital improvements? I know it's not an operational cost, but it could also be read that we're taking funds from restricted assets for this capital improvement.
Through to the CEO, to Ms. Bassingwaite.
I guess use the words capital improvement. It is an improvement on the facility. We do have an asset renewal bucket, which is for old aging infrastructure that we hold for asset renewal. So it doesn't technically fall into that bucket.
Thank you. Anything further, Councillor Wright?
Thank you.
We've got Councillor Wells next up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question was very similar to Councillor Wright, and really just some clarity around where the expected funds would be reallocated from for the upgrade for Cameron Park, please.
Through the CEO to Ms. Bassingwaite to start.
The motion as it is at the moment is that it is a deficit, so it would mean that we would have an unbalanced budget. So that's the cash, where we're saying cash. Will be dipping into additional funds, and the wording is stating that if any surpluses realised through that year, then they would fund it throughout the year, but it would mean a deficit budget adoption.
Thank you.
Councillor Wells, anything further?
No, thank you.
Councillor Cowley.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and like Councillor Wells and Councillor Wright, I'm keen to support this because toilets are close to all our hearts, some more than others. Not to put too fine a point on it, but I also am very nervous about point 3, particularly the line, but which including alternative projects for which funding has been allocated within the budget, but which in reality will not be ready in time. It just seems like we are locking ourselves into robbing from Peter to pay Paul on projects that we've already allocated funding, and I imagine that we're not just pulling those allocation of funds out of our hat. These are important other projects. That makes me really nervous.
Thank you. Councillor Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm of a like mind with Councillor Cowley. I'm very worried about where this money is going to come from if we do go ahead with this, and I understand that this is as important as any other project in the LGA. I also, if we're going to talk about toilets, we actually voted as a council to organise to get some amenities, whether they were portable or permanent, at Wellington and Dubbo Cemetery, and as far as I know that hasn't gone ahead yet. So I think that's something that we need to prioritise over a toilet that's already there. And I know they need a lot of work, but at the moment if you go to the cemetery there's nothing. So I'll I can't support Councillor Ivy's motion. I'm sorry.
Councillor Dickerson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I think this is a chance for this council to right a wrong. Most people are aware that back in 2019, there was $310,000 spent by the council of the day in good faith, upgrading a toilet block, which was effectively a downgrade, taking a number of toilet cubicles there and taking it back to 3. And although I completely disagree with Councillor Butler in the last debate we had, in this one I completely agree with Councillor Butler, and saying that obviously this is something where we need to correct this. This is the opportunity to correct that. I think it harms Wellington's tourism. I think you've got buses who don't stop there anymore. So you, exactly as Councillor Butler said, you may not see a line up there because buses choose to continue on past Wellington, missing some economic opportunities for the Wellington businesses that are nearby there. So this is something that, again, there was a decision made for whatever reason that they would put a cubicle toilet in, cubicle toilets through them to replace what I would call a standard toilet. And if they had the forward vision of council from the next council term, a 3D printed toilet was put in that allowed 11 people to go to the toilet at the same time for $316,000. And instead in Wellington, they end up with 3 people being able to go to the toilet for $310,000. And there was a 4-year time gap there. So there was obviously building expenses going up. I think it's time we fix this problem. I think we will be able to go into a deficit budget, but I have complete faith in Ms Bathingwaite and all of our staff to be able to take that deficit budget and very quickly find some savings there and be able to get to the point where we are back at a balanced budget, even though, yes, on the 1st of July, it may look like a deficit budget, but at least there'll be the ability to get there over the next year. So I think it's an opportunity for us to right the wrongs of the past and make sure that the Wellington community has got the toilet facilities that it needs and that the tourists that come through there absolutely need as well. Thank you.
We've got the CEO would just like to make a comment.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. I find item 3 troubling from a delivery point of view. We're adopting a budget to deliver projects and then you're saying ones that we're not going to deliver. So I think the words, what I'm hearing the intent is, and if I could beg the indulgence of the mover and the seconder, what I'm hearing is if you want that to be a priority for any savings throughout the year, that we will put forward to you at a quarterly budget review statement. So rather than saying for any projects that aren't going to happen, what have you, I think that doesn't make sense when we're just about to adopt a budget for delivering of those projects come the 1st of July. So I wonder if it's more effective wording if we say that this be the priority for project savings and that are identified at the quarterly budget review, at each quarterly budget review. And that way you've signalled that intent for council staff. That's the direction. If we get savings, we're going to put them to this project and bring you back that to balance the budget at that formal stage we're required to. So I wonder if that's a more efficient wording and a clearer direction to staff rather than you're sort of giving us an out, let's just do a deficit budget funding, or projects you're adopting we don't do. So I wonder if the mover and seconder are more comfortable with that type of wording for item 3. I hope the intent is the same, but Mr Mayor, over to you.
Thank you. Back to Councillor Ivey now. Councillor Ivey, there's a few technical difficulties between Councillor Ivey's end and the council end here. We can't actually see his face, but be assured that Councillor Ivey is the person at the other end of that line who's speaking and voting. Councillor Ivey, did you get all of that from the CEO just then?
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. And yes, I don't know what the problem is with the camera. The Confero says that the camera is connected, but somehow it just doesn't seem to be coming through. It says that the camera connects when I start to speak, but nothing seems to happen. Back to the CEO's comments. Look, yes, I do. I have got no real objection to that, and if that helps me achieve the aim of at least increasing the awareness of the need for the toilets and that they are becoming an absolute priority, I will defer to his better knowledge of these things than mine, and therefore accept it. The only thing is just a question, perhaps back to the CEO. I mean, through the period of council for various stages, we do have, as you say, amendments to the budget because we are told that projects, for whatever reason, who've been allocated funding in the program just can't be completed, and therefore the funding has to be carried over till next year. I mean, that we've heard that a number of times. So all I'm trying to pick up there is that as that becomes identified, can't some of that money then be allocated to the toilets?
Back to the CEO with that question from Councillor Ivey.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yep, I understand the intent. I think it's clearer to say that number one, you're allocating the money already. So the money's allocated up front. But number three is you're identifying the project. Now, what you're limiting it to if a project gets delayed, but we may make savings in projects or something comes in under. So I think it gives staff more flexibility to bring that saving, whether it's a delay on a project so we've got more access to capital, or whether it's an actual savings from something else. We can bring that forward to you in a quarterly budget review for adoption. So I think it just gives that flexibility with the same intent behind, noting that the one means you've allocated already, but you've given us that task to find that saving wherever it is and bring that to you in a quarterly budget. I know I've dropped that coal on the staff, but I'm sure they could work something up number three to meet that.
Councillor Ivey, happy with that?
Yes, thanks for that, Mr. CEO. I will happy to amend that motion to amend my motion to include that. Thank you.
Right. Okay, thank you. And the seconder, Councillor Butler, happy to go along with that. Change to point 3.
Yes, if that will help us get this across the line, I think I'd be more than happy to do that.
Right, I will get that wording finalised and read out. Councillor, not Councillor, downgraded you. Ms. Bassingwaite would like to just add a little to that.
So just hearing some of the wording, so this is an option that this be a priority project to be funded in the September 2025 quarterly review through operational or project savings.
We'll just sit on that
Sorry,
thought
it's
for a
been
minute.
complete. You know, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, the CEO.
I wouldn't restrict it to one quarterly, just quarterly budget reviews, and that way it might be in December quarterly. Jane, we might not realise saving in that first one, Ms. Bathingwaite.
And that was exactly my point that I wanted to make too. Yes.
Right, thank you for that, Councillor Ivey. Was there anyone else? Councillor Ryan would like to make a comment.
Yeah, look, I'd just like to say that I know that we did vote to have toilets allocated to the cemeteries, and if it didn't happen, why didn't it happen?
From memory, that was because we deferred it until the public toilet review. Was that right? I'll go to the director, Mr. Arms. I've remembered incorrectly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The 2 toilets are in the coming financial year. The one that we're about to move into. So what's happened this year that we're in is the finalisation of the master plan, which we're working to finalise, and so that locates the toilets in amongst the whole range of other things. And the $250,000 lots for New Dubbo and Wellington Lawn are in the coming budget
that we're about to vote on.
Yes,
hopefully.
Yes.
The CEO would like to make another comment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What I think people are confusing is that solution, that temporary solution for both Wellington and Dubbo. So we made like a portal available, the staff one at the Dubbo Cemetery in the interim, and then Wellington, we were looking at that, but the team refurbished, yes, very dated existing toilet blocks. So there is those facilities there in the interim until council votes tonight to move forward with the new capital works.
Thank you for that clarification. Was there any other questions to do with this at all? I'll just make a quick comment before we get the official wording again, just run through it. Look, obviously the people from Wellington feel that they need the toilet there. I'll vote for this, but I'd be happy to see the VPA money from like next month, Maryvale, used for that. That's something that we could put the VPA money towards something substantial rather than just small little grants that we don't see anything for. So, look, that'd be a good use of some VPA money, and we could do that quickly from the Maryvale solar farm, which we'll look at next month. Back to the mover of the original motion. Oh, hang on, we'll get the wording. Can we just check the final wording for point 3? Points 1 and 2 are as per the piece of paper. And point 3, Ms. Rouse would read, please.
Point 3 now reads that this be a priority project to be funded in the 2025-26 financial year quarterly reviews through operational or other project savings.
Thank you. So everyone's clear on what we are voting on. Back to Councillor Richardson for a right of reply to anything there.
No thanks, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillors, I'll open the voting on Councillor Ivy's Cameron Park toilet motion.
Mr. Mayor, sorry, I'm confused again. Wasn't I given a right of reply?
Yeah, it's the mover of the original motion as per the Code of Meeting Practice, Councillor Ivy.
And so the mover of the amendment doesn't get a right of reply?
No.
Okay.
Councillors, we've got 9 votes there. Waiting for a couple to come in online. There they are. I'll now close the voting. Motion carried, amendment carried unanimously. Councillors, is there any further debate on the original motion or any other amendments? There being none, nothing online, no. We go back to Councillor Richardson for a right of reply on the amended motion, which is the original, plus we've got amendments from Councillor Chowdhury, Councillor Cowley, Councillor Ryan and Councillor Ivy.
All good, thanks, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillors, we'll now put all of that, the amended motion. Please cast your votes. I'll now close the voting. Carried unanimously. Now we're up to notices of motion. CCL 25/153, local flag protocols. Councillor Cowley, would you like to move your motion, please?
I would indeed, Mr Mayor, that the CEO provide a report to the 23rd of September Ordinary Council meeting outlining the current flag protocols and options for setting of a localised flag protocol policy.
Thank you. A seconder. Councillor Chowdhury was first. Councillor Cowley, would you like to speak to your motion, please?
Thank you very much. It's fairly self-explanatory. I had recently occasion to have a rather spontaneous conversation with some people in the main street, and we were talking about the death of Uncle Ray Peckham, and the question was asked about whether the flags could be flown at half-mast in honour of his contribution to not only to our local community but to the wider to our wider society. And it became apparent after I asked some questions that we don't have any local flag protocol. We fly our flags at half-mast for commemorative occasions nationally and for days of mourning, and that's as it should be. And we can be directed by the Prime Minister or suggested by the Prime Minister or the Premier to fly flags at half-mast for certain occasions. However, if we can fly flags at half-mast for people we don't know, in anticipation of the next death of a significant a person who has made a significant contribution, it would be nice to have a localised flag policy in place, and I think this is something that we should have on the books.
Thank you. Further debate, councillors? Online? While we're waiting for anyone online that might want to speak, I got the same call from a couple of prominent people down the street, and yes, that was Councillor Cowley had beat me to it when I mentioned it with the CEO. And just on Councillor Cowley's point there, mentioning Uncle Ray Peckham, quite an amazing life that he led when you read the little tributes online. So anyone who's watching online or anyone else, it's a good thing to do to spend a couple of minutes to read about the amazing life of Uncle Ray Peckham. Councillor Cowley, any right to reply?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor, except to endorse your comments.
Thank you. Councillors, I'll now open the voting on that. Please cast your votes. Councillors, I'll now close the voting. Carried 10 votes to 1. Oh, you voted the wrong way. It'll be right. noting that Councillor Toynton voted the wrong way. We had a small technical problem. Were we able to change that? Technical. Right, we'll just check here. What's the ruling, please, Ms. Riasson? We've had a small technical problem with a vote. Can we redo that?
Councillor Taunton can correct his vote.
Councillor Taunton corrects his vote to be in favour. Carried unanimously. Thank you. Next item is CCL 25/154, road recategorisation. I'll move the following motion that WA Regional Council prepare proposals and make submissions for the recategorisation of Saxa Road and Gollan Road from regional roads to state roads. Can I get a seconder, please? Councillor Ryan's nodding away furiously there. Thank you. Look, councillors, Saxa Road and Gollan Road are currently classified as regional roads, and they both really deserve to go through the process of having an application applied to become state roads. There's an outstanding case for Saxa Road, given all the renewable energy parts that are going to be travelling down that road in the next little while. And Gollan Road is a very busy road between Dubbo and Mudgee, but it's not just the regional, it's how traffic moves from north to south, especially through Saxa Road, and east to west through Gollan Road and the back way to Sydney. So there's a strong case to be made. I've mentioned it to the Roads Minister a couple of weeks ago, in the Regional Roads Minister in Sydney, and let her know that hopefully we'll get the endorsement of Council to put in an application when the portal opens again. But now that Saxa Road's up and running, we'll be getting lots of good data there of truck movements, and it would be a just case or just outcome for those roads to be recategorised, the new term is, to state roads. So I hope for your support on that. Thank you. Any further debate, councillors? There being none. Or Councillor Ryan, did you want to? No. I'll now put that motion. I've opened the electronic voting. Councillors, please cast your vote. I'll now close the voting. Carried unanimously. The next item is CCL 25/155 Church Street Flats. I'd like to move the following motion that WA Regional Council approach the Honourable Rose Jackson, Minister for Housing, Minister for Homelessness, Minister for Mental Health and Minister for Youth to raise concerns regarding the Church Street Flats in Dubbo, the impact of these on the CBD area, and seek an ongoing solution to the issues of antisocial behaviour emanating from the Church Street Flats. Could I get a seconder, please? Councillor Chowdhury. I'll just very briefly speak to this. Homes New South Wales are the owner and manager of the Church Street Flats. We know that there's been massive problems for many years now in and around the CBD area with antisocial behaviour, but more than that, it goes to what's the best place for the people that stay there to be living. And some of the stories I've heard, it's not a great place to live for people who are housed there. We can do better as a society, but we can sort of solve two issues at once. We can hopefully find some better accommodation for the people that are currently staying there, but also make the CBD a better place and a more safe place. And especially down the main street, you hear people who have got businesses making comments all the time. So let's kickstart the process here and try and get some change. Might be successful, might not be, but we can at least give it a go. Thank you. Councillor Wright, next.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Look, yeah, I'll wholeheartedly support this as well. I've been out of the Chamber of Commerce now for 4 years. This particular topic has been a talk fest. Even during my time on the Chamber, it did involve a lot of businesses who were not only frustrated, but just grew angry at the impact that the antisocial behaviour emanating from this particular premises was causing down Church Street and through Macquarie Street. So, look, this is a decision for the minister. It's a tough decision. Obviously, housing is a pretty important topic in our community, and certainly for people that are in these situations where they're a bit more vulnerable. But certainly something must be done here, and it can't continue to be a talk fest of a bouncing back and forth that it's not my problem, it's not someone else's problem. So, someone needs to take a bit of ownership. I think that stops with the minister to make that tough decision and find a way forward to find a resolution here. So yeah, a good motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Further debate, councillors? There being none, I will put that. I'll open the voting. Please cast your votes. I'll now close the voting. Carried unanimously. The next item is CCL 25/156, consideration of certain development applications by Infrastructure Planning and Environment Committee. Do I have someone to move that motion, please? Councillor Toynton, and seconded by Councillor Chowdhury. Thank you. Councillor Toynton, would you like to speak to that motion?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Wait on. We've got a Councillor Chowdhury with a conflict.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have this particular motion. I have a conflict, pecuniary significant, because this is talking about some subdivision in South Lake, and I live in South Lake, so I'm leaving the room.
Thank you. And a seconder for Councillor Toynton, Councillor Cowley, that was. Then we had Councillor Chowdhury declare his conflict and leave. Councillor Toynton, would you like to speak to that motion at all?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any other debate, councillors? Councillor Dickerson.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I do remember some discussion we had at the beginning of this council term around the delegations that we gave to our committees, and we had some discussion back and forth about giving council or councillors the ability to make various decisions at committee meetings. And in the end, the debate came up with the conclusion that council makes council resolutions, and we basically looked at the point of saying that council could award tenders because you're not really engaged with the community in a tender process. But with everything else, council was determined to be the consent authority, and a council meeting seemed to be the appropriate place. This is really only 7 or 8 months after we had that debate, and this really, to me, is just sneaking one little step. Sneaking is probably too harsh a word. I do apologise to the staff there. We're sliding forward slightly with the ability for council to start to make council decisions, but at a committee meeting. Getting to the point where you're starting to allow DAs to be awarded by committees is one step along the way of getting to the point where the importance of a council meeting is degraded and committees then to start to make council decisions. I certainly can't support this at all, because I want to see council decisions made at council meetings, and I think the public wants to see that as well. I know in the past when committees did make council decisions, the public was confused about that. The public got to the point where they weren't sure when a decision was made. Why was it made last week? The committee meeting was done last week, but the council meeting is next week. So I would prefer to see council meetings kept for council decisions. Tenders, I can live with that as one step along the way because of the technical reasons there, but allowing DAs to be approved by, or DAs that have been recommended by council staff to be approved at a council meeting, I think is one step too far. So I would vote against this and really keep to the point of council meetings for council decisions.
Further debate, councillors. Councillor Wright.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, look, I sort of echo Councillor Dickerson's point here. I just look at the reasoning behind this, and I just wonder if we're looking after council's own interests here by making sure that our days of assessing DAs and keeping that number down on the league table is more important than making sure community understand when council makes the decisions and have an opportunity to I suppose to provide their feedback with respect to DAs and councils making those decisions. And I think it goes back to making sure that we put community first rather than our own interests first on a league table, which seems to be what this is alluding to with respect to reducing processing time. So I'm probably struggling as well at the moment to support it for that reason too. So thank you.
Further debate, councillors. Councillor Butler.
Yeah. Look, I tend to think myself, if you look at point 2, that this delegation of the Infrastructure Planning and Environment Committee be reviewed after a period of 12 months, I'm more than willing to give it a go. So I think, given the fact that it's got point 2 in there saying we can have a run at this, and if after 12 months we're not happy with it, we'll just put it back to where it was. But I certainly don't see the need. Well, there's two things. One thing is that in terms of the league tables, as Councillor Wright referred to, I don't think that that's such an issue. I think the issue is that we do want to be someone that approves DAs quickly and be considered like progressive. And I think this helps that. And I don't think that we're necessarily doing the community any harm or giving them any confusion in that sense. So I just, that's just my view on it. I just don't agree with that original premise there. So I suggest that, and also given the fact that the committee is essentially the same people. I mean, the same councillors that meet for this meet for the committee. So I don't really see that there's an issue. It's almost like a name change. It's like there's this little swap. Oh, we take this hat, take it off, put on the next hat, but we're all still the same people. And so I think we would still make a reasonable decision. We have the same information available. We have the same debate occurring. And I also think it would save time because then you're not having to rubber stamp it at the next ordinary council, which effectively means you've got to bring it up twice. So I'm quite happy with the recommendation as it stands, and I would encourage my fellow councillors. I certainly will be supporting it. Yeah.
Now we've got Councillor Ivey online, then a question from Councillor Wright, and then back to Councillor Dickinson of another question. Councillor Ivey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, maybe it's my misreading of the report, but I'm a great believer in the saying, if it ain't fixed, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It seems that this current system works reasonably well, so why do we change it? To Councillor Butler's comment about, look, it's the same people just wearing a different hat. But gosh, I found a number of times where it's come to a committee, we've considered it, we've voted on it. I've gone away afterwards, and perhaps with a little bit of hindsight and a little bit more research, I've actually changed my mind. So I think that having that that break between the committee and the final endorsement by council, for my way of thinking, has been very useful. And I don't think that we should change it if we haven't got a very good reason to do so, and I haven't seen a very good reason to do so. So I will be voting against it.
Councillor Wright.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. It was a question with respect to, there was a reference, an example made by the recent DA for South Lake, 631 allotments, potentially added 14 days to the processing time of that DA. Just wondering if one of the staff might be able to give me an indication of when that DA might have originally been even lodged.
Through to CEO to Mr. Jennings.
I'll have to take that, through Mr. Mayor, I'll have to take that one on notice, Councillor Wright.
Thank you. Anything further? Councillor Wright again.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. A 631 lot subdivision is pretty substantial. Would it be right to suggest that sort of development application could take maybe a couple of years even to assess?
Through to CEO to Mr. Jennings.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, the South Lakes DA was in for a substantial period of time. So, obviously council tonight signed off on that development application. The intent behind looking at further delegations for IPEC, so at committee, just at DAs that are recommended for approval, and then also with that threshold of submissions as well. So we have another DA as well next month, which will come forward, which again has one submission, and council or staff will be recommending approval. So it was that catalyst for us to really ask that question. Is it time to look at whether committee requires further delegation in that regard?
Thank you. I did notice the CEO pop up online there a second ago. I'm not sure if the CEO wanted to add anything further to that answer.
I just wanted to further to Mr. Jennings' point. If you'd ask, yes, the league tables in themselves are a measure, and we're being held to account by government to get better at our league tables. And the logic there, it's not the league tables for the league tables point. It's to, and that example of Mr. Jennings, there's a very, one submission and a DA has to wait another 14 days. The pressure is on us as a level of government to get things out the door quicker. We have a good stat in terms of our league tables. How do we squeeze that to be even more efficient? And that's why the staff have put this forward here. So that's the logic there, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Wright, was there anything further? No.
Oh, thank you.
Councillor Dickinson.
Thank you. The question relates specifically to the first point, Mr Mayor, that talks about the fact that the reasoning for this is the DA application processing times in New South Wales Council are published monthly. So I just would like to ask through you to the relevant staff about how we sit in those league tables at the moment. In other words, are we in a disastrous place and 14 days would make a big difference to that, or are we performing quite well in those league tables?
Through to CEO to Mr Jennings.
Through you, Mr Mayor, Council is performing well in respect of the league tables. However, that doesn't mean that we don't look for better ways of doing business and for ways of streamlining our processes. So the staff are always looking at those things, and it's something I'm very passionate about as well for our customers.
Thank you. Councillor Dickinson, further?
Yeah, thank you. So just to clarify, definitely there, we are performing well at the moment with our current arrangement, is what Mr Jennings said. So I want to clarify that. Without the 14-day implication here, we're performing quite well.
Back to Mr Jennings, through to CEO to Mr Jennings for a clarification to his answer for Councillor Dickinson.
Through you, Mr Mayor, as I said there earlier, Council is performing well, but obviously, we want to do the best thing for our customers, and the government always expects more from us as well in that regard. So, it's a matter of keeping an eye on how we're going, but also looking about how we can do things better and easier.
Thank you. Further, councillors? I'll just ask a question. The current number of days in the league tables, are they going to stay the same, or is there pressure coming in the next couple of years that you have to reduce the number of days for DAs and those sort of things? Mr Jennings?
Through you, Mr Mayor, yes, there's always pressure to bring down our processing days, and then also I know that some councillors have asked questions over time about our lodgement days. There's a big focus on that as well. So that's for every council in New South Wales, not just us. Yes, we are performing well, but as I've said there, there's ways that we can be better.
Thank you. Look, I'll just make a quick comment. Look, maybe someone might wish to move an amendment that there's anyone who makes a submission gets a phone call before the committee meeting to let them know that the decision will be made at the committee meeting. But look, I'd be happy to give this a trial for 12 months, and there's not that many DAs actually come to us as council, but like we've said before, the number of the lodgement days, the processing days, all those sort of things, there's a league table out there, and they're going to be reducing over the next few years. And the Planning Minister, there's a big push on, I've seen comments by the Planning Minister to get DAs done and dusted quickly, and given the number that come to us, it's not heaps, but it would help with our league table ranking for the staff, rather than just sitting on an application for another 14 plus days, up 28 days till it comes to council. Anything further, councillors? Councillor Butler?
Yeah, question for me. So I'm assuming to Mr Jennings, through you, Mr Mayor, given the current large developments coming down through the system, such as the 600 lot that we've just discussed and some of the other ones, are our league tables about to look worse? So I guess I'm trying to gauge the impact of the current large projects, and given our ranking, is that going to change our ranking significantly, in which case this may help? That's just the question, yeah.
Through to CEO to Mr Jennings.
Through you, Mr Mayor, in the last development activity summary report, there was some information in there about that there is a potential for our processing days to go up in the next period of time. There's been 2 or 3 DAs as well, which have moved through the system through the Western Region Planning Panel as well, and then also obviously the DA for South Lakes that was approved tonight as well by Council.
Thank you. Right with that, Councillor Butler, further? Thank you. Anything further, councillors? There being nothing further, we'll go back to the mover. Oh, Mr Wood, did you have anything to say? No. Well, it might have been Councillor Ivey from the deep. Councillor Toynton, did you write a reply to anything there?
What's wrong with this? No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillors, I will now open the electronic voting. Please cast your votes.
Councillors, I'll now close the voting. Carried 7 votes to 3. Could a staff member please get Councillor Chowdhury? They're on the ball already. Thank you. Item CCL 25/157, naming a thoroughfare associated with development consent D22-122 (5) 4L Camp Road, Dubbo. Do I have someone to move that motion, please? Councillor Chowdhury, seconded by Councillor Wright. Thank you. I will declare a conflict of interest at this item. It's a non-pecuniary but significant interest in that I live on Camp Road just up from the site owned by the vendors. Although names of the streets will not impact the value of my property, I will leave the room to remove any perception of a conflict and hand over the chair to Deputy Mayor Philip Toynton. Thank you.
All right, I believe the Mayor would be out of earshot now. The mover, would you like to speak to your motion? Is that Councillor Chowdhury?
No, all good. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further debate, councillors? There being none, I'll open the electronic voting. Councillors, please cast your votes. I'll now stop the electronic voting and declare the motion carried unanimously. Councillor Black will now return to the room to resume the chair of the meeting. Could someone please send for the Mayor?
Next item is CCL 25/158, Childcare Review, Dubbo Regional Council. Do I have someone to move that report, please? Councillor Cowley, and seconded by Councillor Chowdhury. Thank you. Councillor Cowley, would you like to speak to that?
Yes, very much so. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. And I'm conscious of the time, so I won't pull out or call out as much as should be called out in this wonderful review which has been done. And I would like to send a shout out to the team under Mr. Arms, particularly to Joe Clark and Bree Marchant. I'm still in the room. It's a wonderful review done from within our resources, our existing resources. And it's a comprehensive look at what is surely one of our most important services that we provide to our community. And as I said, there's so much in this review, but I'm conscious of time, so I won't talk to it all. I would urge you to have a look at it, to read it through, to understand where we sit within the childcare sector in terms of Dubbo Regional Council's offerings being Rainbow Cottage and family daycare. But look, I understand that and appreciate the importance of keeping an eye on the bottom line. And we should always keep the other eye, though, on the fact that we are here to serve our community, and surely the provision of childcare and accessible childcare, and the provision of appropriately qualified staff to populate those childcare centres and offer that those services to our residents is one of the most important things that we can do as a community. It is literally an investment in our future. And in the interests of, understanding that there is an eye on the bottom line, I believe that there was a report done on Rainbow Cottage recently. And I'd like to ask Mr. Arms if it would be possible for us to see a copy of that report and have that circulated. But beyond that, I would encourage you all, please, to take the time to have a look at this report. A lot of time and effort from the team has gone into it. It's very comprehensive, and I would urge you to have a look at it.
Just through the CEO to Mr. Arms about circulating that report. That's a yes. Yes, that's a yes. That will be done for everyone's benefit. Councillors, any further debate? Councillor Wright.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'll also just add to Councillor Cowley's comments. A fantastic report, and I sat there and read through it with my wife last night, who's also involved in the childcare sector, and she highlighted some of the challenges as well in the sector. But I think the report does highlight a couple of things, and when I go back to my photos and find those couple of things that I've just screenshotted. Firstly, on page 126, which does show that Dubbo Regional Council subsidises the childcare industry in Dubbo for 25-26 about $340,000 for the 25-26 year. Another part of the report tells me that there's 22 long daycare services and another one due to open in 2025. I would have thought that the 22 plus the one that's about to open are probably running a lot more viably. I'm guessing they're not opening for the sake of tearing up community money, I suppose, to subsidise the childcare industry in Dubbo. So that's one of my concerns about the fact that the ratepayers do subsidise. And there's another part in the report as well that absolutely highlights the issue, is that there just aren't enough educators available. I think there was a quote from and well done to everyone who contributed to the report, actually. Obviously, there's some very passionate people in the industry. It said, we have enough centres, we just don't have enough staff, and which is why some of these centres have got rooms that are closed. They've got the services available, but no staff to look after them. So I believe, Dubbo region, or also the region itself is supplying sufficient places, but just not the staff. So obviously recruitment is the big challenge for us to get people out here to fill those spots and meet the demand. So, but overall, a fantastic report though. And anyone in the industry, if you have a chance to read it. There's some really good reading in there. So.
Thank you. Anything further, councillors? I'll just very quickly say, great report. One of the things that we've noted over the years is that the wages at Rainbow Cottage are not what many would call poverty wages of many of the other childcare centres that operate in New South Wales and throughout Australia, but are under the local government award. And that's a good thing, that as a council that we're paying people who are properly qualified a good wage. But we do need to always be mindful of the price that we charge per day, and for a premium product we can probably charge a premium price over the next few years to get it back in the closer to the break even. Anything further? Back to the mover, Councillor Cowley, for right of reply.
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor, except to say just on that point about what Dubbo Regional Council does to support early child the sector. It's important also to note that we also support the sector. We have on page 132 of the report that Dubbo Regional Council not only operates Rainbow Cottage and family daycare, but we also provide leases and/or licenses to 5 external early childhood services in Dubbo and Wellington to operate from council-owned buildings, including the very important service around early childhood intervention. And there are a range of other organisations that we assist with there as well. It's a very important sector. very important part of the suite of our offerings.
Thank you, councillors. I will now open the electronic voting on that motion. Please cast your votes. I'll now close the voting. Carried unanimously. The next item is CCL 25/159, Dubbo Aquatic Leisure Centre Indoor Facility. Councillor Chowdhury has an alternative motion to move. Please, Councillor Chowdhury.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have an alternative motion for CCL 25/159 Dubbo Aquatic Leisure Centre Indoor Pool Facilities. Number 1, the council endorses the progression of the indoor aquatic facility project to the next stage of community engagement. And number 2, that the 20,000 for consultation be funded from the amendment to the aquatic center budget detailed as A, reduce advertisement by 5,000. Number B is reduce interior and exterior painting by 14,300, and number C, reduce concourse maintenance by 700.
Thank you. A seconder? Councillor Wright. Thank you. Councillor Chowdhury, would you like to speak to your motion?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to thank council team and the Larkin done the fantastic job bring the detailed report, because it's been since long time we've been waiting for this indoor facilities. And Mayor might be, some of my fellow councillors remember last council term we had a aquatic what that committee called? Yeah, Dubbo Aquatic Working Committee, and Councillor Black and I was on the part of the committee, and we've been heard many times from that committee, even though from the committee groups, they're asking for these indoor facilities for 12 months to use these facilities. And also there's a lot of event, they had to travel to a lot of different places. So it's really hard for them to travel with that young kids and other commitment in there they already have. And also for this report, we are asking for $20,000 to do a community feedback to undertaking a consultation to see if that committee are ready to do that, ready to any rate rise or a grant, or what other facilities council can do. And also this is one of the major infrastructure would be for our council. And so I'm requesting to the community, my fellow councillor to support this motion to see what community consultation come back. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comment, councillors? Councillor Wright.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Look, there's obviously a need for an indoor heated pool in the city, and there's a certain sector of the community that's quite vocal with respect to this. I guess my concern here is the fact that we're talking about spending $20,000 to go out and seek some feedback from the community. I'd be interested to see how we plan on doing that. Obviously, statistically valid surveys are a fantastic way to do that, but they cost a lot more money. When we go out with community consultation and we invite people to come along and provide feedback, they're generally people that have either a vested interest or a very strong passion towards a particular topic, and sometimes that can skew the results. I do note, though, on page 155, it does suggest that if we're going to fund a $45 million construction cost and around $1 million worth of running costs each year, that council would have to consider potentially a special rates variation of maybe up to 10%. I think that's the issue that we'll face here with community, and the fact that they would love to have a facility such as this, but would they, in the current economic environment, be prepared to pay maybe up to 10% increase in council rates over a couple of years to fund that project? And I know Councillor Dickerson's spoken before about the last time a special rates variation was done. It was for the DRTCC, which is obviously a jewel in the crown for as an asset for council. But whether we need to spend $20,000 of ratepayers' money to go out and ask the community if they'd like this project, and secondly, if they'd be happy to fund it with a special rates variation, I'm not sure if we need to spend that money to go out to community to get the answer that I think we'll get as a result of that. Maybe I'm preempting it, but that's my thoughts. Thanks.
Further debate, councillors? Councillor Butler.
I think it's more of a question. $40 million price tag. It's, you know, pretty steep, but, you know, it is a heated swimming pool. Have we got like a grant coming for this, or is it one we can apply for, or like, or are we looking to pay for it out of council funds? I was just wondering, what's the strategy?
Traditionally, seek grant funding. Lots of other councils, you see pretty big grants given, state and federal. Don't know how much more of that's around, but I'll throw to the CEO, who's now online, to answer that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's jumping in 2 steps ahead, Councillor Butler. This is actually this isn't an adopted project. This isn't carrying it forward to get a funding strategy. I guess this is a step in, ultimately would be a council decision. Do you want to progress this further as a project? It'll bring the community lens back to that decision. So that's the stage we're at now in terms of this project.
Thank you. Anything further? Debate, questions, comments? Councillor Wright, thinking of a question?
I'll just ask, maybe, who would we expect that would undertake the consultation? Is it something that could be done in-house? And if it was done externally, would that $20,000 be sufficient? What would it look like, I guess?
We'll go through to CEO, who's not there at the moment, to Mr. Arms.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We certainly could do it in-house. We certainly have the skills. The programming is a separate conversation to have with the relevant director and the team. The company that produced the 2 excellent reports that you have before you have done a great work there and do this work as well. In terms of taking the project forward, community consultation would be a necessity. It's a big commitment, both upfront and establishing, as well as ongoing. And so, at this stage, we don't know what the consultation plan would look like, depending on what council would like us to do tonight. That's something that we would look into. The company nominated an amount of $20,000 as a ballpark figure when prompted as to what it would cost to go to that next step. So that's the situation we find ourselves. Big commitment, $45 million to build, $1 million each year to run it, and some hundreds of thousands of dollars to establish it once built. It's an important opportunity to get right from the start.
Thank you. Councillor Chowdhury, question?
Yeah, I have a question through you. So can we do some amendment rather than paying the 20,000? Can we do internally this like a consultation so we can have some sense from the community what community thinks? Thank you.
So you've got that amendment?
Asking through you. So if we can do, then I'll bring that amendment.
We'll go through to CEO to Mr. Arms to just check, could you do it internally?
Like, as I say, we have the skills to do it internally. Our public consultation team do this all the time and do it well. The programming is the thing. As I said before you, I won't commit the team to a timeline. That's something that I would get back to you with if you wanted to know that.
Thank you. Councillor Chowdhury?
Yeah, I would like to put that amendment to do through the like internally, and yeah, I think we're good with the time frame.
So you can do that without an amendment, but just by changing that in agreement with the seconder, Councillor Wright.
Yeah.
Is that what you'd like to do?
Yeah.
Yep. Just say that once again, can you please?
Yeah. So number 1 would be as it is. Number 2 would be that consultation. Committee consultation will be done by the internal team, council internal team.
Thank you. Councillor Wright, do you agree to that? As the seconder?
Yeah, I will, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thanks. Right. Any further comment, debate or questions, councillors? Councillor Butler.
Oh, just a clarification. So if we do it internally, does that mean we don't need the 20,000? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, we can
just
go to just get a clarification from the director, Ms. Brown.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we will still need budget to support an internal campaign. These things to do properly need external and internal resources. I have, without consulting the team and the relevant manager around the timing of that program, we would definitely be able to do it in terms of skills and capability. We would need to come back to you with timing and additional budget, but it's not going to be no cost to the no external cost to the organisation.
Thank you. Over to Mr. Arms.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yep, certainly I endorse the director's comments just then. Just to give you an idea, the Community Safety Crime Prevention Plan consultation that we did relatively recently, earlier this year, that we had a budget of $10,000 to do that work, and I suspect the consultation required for this would be larger than that. It would be my gut feeling, but certainly that $10,000 to $20,000 mark is what's expected. The difference between the two options, internally or externally, is the external gives us an opportunity to bring in the pool experts who know how these things work and how they shouldn't work. The internal has its own set of benefits, certainly. But I do hasten to add that the programming is a component as well, the internal programming.
Councillor Chowdhury, and we've got Councillor Ivey in the queue online.
Is there any future funding option, external funding option we can find to do this, like cover this cost?
Through to CEO to Ms. Brown.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it's not my experience, albeit short, that we can seek funding for our own internal consultation programs.
Councillor Ivey online, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a comment, really. To say whether it's done internally or externally I don't think makes a difference. To say, if we do it internally, it's not going to cost $20,000. The expenditure of the staff time and expertise and being directed away from what they would have otherwise been doing, by definition, must have a cost. And I think even if we're not paying the $20,000 to an external consultant, by doing it in-house and using hopefully very qualified and valuable staff time, that still costs $20,000. So I think that's not the issue.
Further questions or debate, councillors? Councillor Butler.
Yeah, maybe it's just echoing a little bit with Councillor Wright. My concern is that I do like the vision of the pool. I think it's great. But perhaps the issue is the rate peg. I come from a rural area. I have a farm. I have farmer friends around me. They often pay some of the highest rates when it comes to pegs, but they would probably be least available to use the facility. So I guess a little bit back to Councillor Wright again, I feel that we would spend money and then we know the answer and then it's going to come back and give us that same answer. I mean, I just sort of wonder whether it's to some degree valuable, whether there's a point in saying, how about we just ask them if they want a pool and we seek funding for it rather than tie it to a rate peg, so to speak, because that's my concern is from a rural sector point of view, the people who will pay the most dearly for this rate peg increase will be those who have least ability to use that facility. And it's sort of like a little bit of a justice issue in that sense.
Thank you. Anything further, councillors? Councillor Chowdhury.
Yeah, I would draw that amendment. Will go through as per the business paper.
There's the
that's fine, Mr.
back
Mayor,
to the original with the concurrence of the seconder, Councillor Wright. So we're back to the original with the 20,000 coming from reduced advertising, reduced painting, and reduced concourse maintenance. So we're all clear back to the original. Anything further, councillors? look, I'll just say something quickly before we go back to the mover. Dubbo's needed a heated pool for as long as I've been swimming at the Dubbo Olympic swimming pool, which is like 40 years. But I don't think the community's going to cop even talking about a 10% rate variation. I know it's just like 10% for 1 year, but then that stays on there. It's not just like it goes up 10%. But when you look at it, 10% is only $100, which is $2 a year. But people, the whole story won't be about, oh, Dubbo indoor pool, are you interested? It'll all be about councils trying to put 10% SRV on you, and everyone will go off their chops. So I think we probably need to look at what else can we do. I noticed that over at Newcastle, they've voted to go to $2 pool entry next season. And can we do those sort of things to get usage up? Can we heat the pool for a bit longer each end of the season? Are those ways that we could increase the usage of what we've got at the moment without spending $40+ million? But it's people aren't, for the amount of people who use the pool, they're not going to cop a 10% rate variation, I don't feel, for a swimming pool, even though it's needed. But it doesn't mean that the idea is dead. It means we could look at cheaper alternatives. Could we get like a 25 by 25 instead of doing the whole 50 metre or anything like that? How can we keep it a bit under the $40-something million? Councillor Dickerson.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I think the good thing about this is that we have had talk for a number of years about an indoor heated pool for as long as I can remember. Probably going back to 2004, people have talked about the desire for an indoor heated pool, and there have been some councils that have talked about it but not really taken some action. So what I applaud here that Councillor Chowdhury is taking some action, and I think the important part then is that we've got the community to understand that if they do want this facility, it's going to be a cost to it. Now, whether the community is prepared to pay that cost or not, that's a whole separate argument, but at least they will know what the cost might be and whether they're prepared to pay a rate rise or have a rate rise to actually pay for that, because $45 million, we don't have that in loose change sitting around in terms of our budget. We don't have spare cash like that. So it's got to come from somewhere. If we can't get it from grants, we have to get it from ratepayers. So at least then ratepayers will understand if they keep asking for this, we can deliver it, but it's going to come at a cost. So I applaud it, Councillor Chowdhury. I think it's good to bring it forward. I think it's good to actually go to that stage where we let the community understand the process that occurs there.
Further councillors? There being nothing, we'll go back to the mover, Councillor Chowdhury, for right of reply.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just quickly say, like, this report is not for any rate rise or anything. It's just for the community consultation, as Councillor Dickerson has mentioned, to give the people, community, to see, because our communities are growing. So let them to think they need this one and they would like to pay extra money, or council can actively looking for some extra fund from external. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, I will open the voting, remembering that we're back to the original motion as in the papers. Councillors, I will now close the voting. Lost 4 votes to 7. Next item is CCL 25/160 2024-2025 Spark Support Grant Assessment Report. Do I have someone to move that, please? Councillor Wright, and seconded by Councillor Cowley. Councillor Chowdhury.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For this item, I have a non-pecuniary significant I declare conflict, and I do volunteer work with Oriscon, few other Dubbo Neighbourhood Centre, few other community groups. So I will leave the room. Thank you.
Thank you. Moved. Now, we've got that moved by Councillor Wright and seconded by Councillor Cowley. We go to Councillor Wright to speak to it, then we'll come to Councillor Wells for an amendment. Councillor Wright.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Are you happy to move this one? Look, there's obviously quite a diverse range. That's one thing I do know. Is there's a rather diverse range of recipients of this particular grant. Obviously, there's a number of them that I'm not overly aware of myself. I'm putting a fair bit of faith in staff that they go through that rigorous process to ensure that this money goes to the right groups for the right reasons. But nevertheless, well done to those who have been well, they're not successful yet because we haven't voted on it, but hopefully successful in gaining those funds. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Wells.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have an amendment for CCL 25/160 for the 2024-2025 Spark Support Grant Assessment Report, and the amendment is that that Council allocate $24,100 to the community-based organisations in accordance with Section 356 of the Local Government Act 1993, and notifications to be sent to each recommended applicant. Those recommended applicants are Orascon for $3,300, Tamara Laurie for $2,600, New South Wales Central West Muslim Association Incorporated for $1,500, the SOMAD Songwriters and Original Musicians Association Dubbo for $6,000, Dubbo and Districts Family History Society for $1,550, Dubbo Neighbourhood Centre for $1,500, Nolan Furnell for $3,200, Dubbo Stampede Running Festival Incorporation for $2,000, Dubbo Filmmakers for $2,450, with a total of $24,100. And item 2, that Council defer the allocation of $5,900 to the Murray-Darling Aboriginal Corporation until further governance and cultural appropriateness assessments are undertaken.
Thank you. We've got that amendment by Councillor Wells there. A seconder for that? Councillor Richardson, thank you. Councillor Wells, would you like to speak to that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just really wanted to ensure that there were cultural protocols adhered to around the request for the funds for the Murray-Darling Aboriginal Corporation, and it's around education, song and dance and those types of things. And it's really important to ensure that cultural protocols as well as cultural governance is applied, and I believe that will be undertaken and we'll be able to get back to the corporation very soon.
Thank you. Any further debate on that amendment, councillors? Councillor Wright?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'll probably support against it. Actually, vote against that amendment. Again, I'm putting a fair bit of faith in and trust in staff that have done the due diligence. The same amendment could be made for the New South Wales Central West Muslims Association. Are they offering culturally inclusive storytelling? Does that need to be checked? Obviously, very respectful of Councillor Wells and her concerns with respect to the Murray-Darling Aboriginal Corporation. But look, there's another one there that we could probably ask the same thing. And again, I'm putting a fair bit of faith in staff that they've made the right call when it comes to awarding that grant money. So I can't support it. I guess in this case, supporting staff on their decision there.
Thank you. Further councillors? There being none, we go back to Councillor Wright for a right of reply as the mover of the original motion.
No, I think I've said what I needed to say, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thanks. Councillors, we will now vote on Councillor Wells' amendment. I will open, so that's taking out the $5,900 for the Aboriginal Corporation. I'll now open the voting, and we're on Councillor Wells's amendment, please. I'll now close the voting. The amendment is carried 9 votes to 1. That becomes the motion. We'll go back to debate on that. Councillors, does anyone else have any comments or debate? Councillor Cowley.
Yeah, thanks very much, Mr. Mayor. I am also very happy to see such diverse groups within our community receiving these grants and our support. And I'm particularly happy to see music and original music being supported so well through the grant, the proposed grant to the SOMAD Songwriters and Original Musicians Association of Dubbo, and also to Nolan Furnell. I just wanted to ask, the Dubbo Stampede Running Festival also receiving money for funding towards musician fees. It says that that's a local musical performance element. So it's a local muso. Do we have any intelligence as to whether that's original music, or what kind of music that will be?
Through the CEO to the director, Mr. Arms.
I'm sorry, Councillor. I would have had my new manager, my new manager, Arts and Culture, here tonight, but she's on leave. I can't give you a whole lot of insight into that right now, but I can provide that to you later via a hot topic, perhaps.
Thank you. Further debate, councillors? There being none, we'll go back to Councillor Wright for right of reply on the amended motion as the mover of the original motion.
No, I'm fine. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillors, we'll vote on the amended motion. I'll now open the voting. Please cast your votes. That's right now. I'll now close the voting. Carried unanimously. Could someone please get Councillor Chowdhury back into the room? Councillors, we now move on to CCL 25/161, 2024-2025 Event Assistance Program, Community Events Fund Round 2. Could I have someone move that motion, please? Councillor Wright, thank you, and seconded by Councillor Cowley. Councillor Chowdhury, a conflict to declare?
Yeah, I have non-pecuniary significant interest for this motion. I'll leave the room because during my election I also display my co-flute in that racing. Thank you.
Thank you. I will declare a pecuniary interest and leave the room as the Dubbo Greyhound Racing Club has allowed me to display my election posters on the fence on numerous occasions to remove the perception of any benefit or conflict. I will leave the room while this matter is debated. Thank you. And hand over to Deputy Mayor Philip Toynton.
I believe I should be declaring a conflict of interest the same as Councillor Black, Mayor Black, as my co-flute was displayed on the Dubbo Greyhound Racing Club fence as well. I'm not quite sure how I can leave the room and get called back in. Can somebody tell me how?
So we're just working out a way of a technical to deal with Councillor Wells' conflict. Bear with me one moment. So, Councillor Wells, are you able to take your camera, take yourself off mute and take your camera off? And we'll someone will either call you or text you to come back into the meeting.
Sure, thank you.
All right. Right. Anyone else? All right. So, Councillor Wright, would you like to speak to your motion?
Not for this one. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Chair.
No worries. Any further debate, councillors? Councillor Cowley.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Yeah, again, the diversity is pleasing to see within this range of grant recipients or proposed grant recipients. I'm just looking at one on page 167, the Ramayan. I'm not sure whether I'm pronouncing that correctly. The Dolls Exhibition and Storytelling experience. Again, sounds fantastic. But what's the organisation behind that? Who's putting that on? And I think this seems to go to some of the concerns that we had with the Spark grants and some of these as well. Carols by Candlelight, for instance, we all know what it is, but perhaps there should be some clarity about the organisations that are putting forward and putting these events on. Is that something that we could look at in future? And is there an answer as to whether the Ramian Dolls, who's behind that, please?
Through the CEO, I'll throw to Mr. Craig Arms.
Thank you, Councillor. I can give you detail, perhaps in a hot topic. I know it's a multicultural based element. I don't have my manager here who drove the committee, but I can provide you that extra detail during a hot topic.
Any further debate or questions, councillors? Being none, Councillor Wright. Oh, sorry, Councillor Ivey, missed you there.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Deputy Mayor, just a pedantic comment. I note there's perhaps a bit of uncertainty there because we've got the Dubbo National Merino Show and School Weather Challenge. I think that should be WETHER. I don't think it's a whether they're going to challenge or not. It's a castrated sheep, I think they're referring to.
Well spotted, Councillor Ivey. I'll see that the adjustments are made to correct that embarrassing typo. Anything further, councillors? Councillor Wright, right of reply?
I've got nothing. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Okay, I'll now put the motion and open the electronic voting. Councillors, please cast your votes. So Josh and Chowdhury can't vote. I'll now close electronic voting. Declare the motion carried unanimously, 8 votes. Please bring our councillors and mayor back into the meeting.
Councillor Wells, can you hear us again?
Yes, thank you.
Excellent. Next item is CCL 25/162, making of rates and charges 2025-2026. Do I have someone to move the motion in the papers? Councillor Richardson, thank you, and seconded by Councillor Toynton. Councillor Richardson, would you like to speak to your motion?
No, thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any debate, councillors? There being none, I'll put that. I've now opened the electronic voting. Please cast your votes. I'll now close the voting. Motion carried unanimously. Next item is CCL 25/163, mayoral and councillor and mayoral fees 2025-2026. Do I have someone to move that motion, please? Councillor Cowley, seconded by Councillor Toynton. Councillor Cowley, would you like to speak to that motion?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any debate, councillors? There being none, I'll put that. I've opened the electronic voting. Please cast your votes. I'll now close the voting. Carried unanimously. We now have questions on notice. First item is CCL 25/164 Causeway Crossing at Forest Vale Road. This was a question on notice from Councillor Toynton with the response provided. Are there any questions from councillors for the purpose of clarification? No. On to the next one, which is CCL 25/165 Village of Mumble. We now have before us a question on notice from Councillor Toynton with the response provided. Are there any questions from councillors for the purpose of clarification? No. CCL 25/166 Stewart Town Traffic. We now have before us a question on notice from Councillor Toynton with the response provided. Are there any questions from councillors for the purposes of clarification? No. Next, we have CCL 25/167 Dubbo Regional Livestock Markets. We now have before us a question on notice from Councillor Toynton and will receive a verbal response, which we'll get first, then we'll see if there's any questions through the CEO to Ms. Bassingwaite.
So the total cost of that was $1,887 in total. That included legal fees, which are additional costs. There was no other costs associated with this. There was a cost of staff time of about 10 hours for various rates. There was no additional cost. So this was, in a way, staff time. There was a after hours workshop on the 4th of March with the councillors of approximately 2 hours with 7 councillors and directors and 1 staff. Again, there was no additional costs. Those staff were not paid for the outer hours. And there was another workshop held 5 hours with for about 1 hour with the CEO, director and a staff member. Again, there was no additional costs associated with this meeting. It is that cost benefit time. So it was the time taken away from the staff to do other duties, but there was no costs.
Thank you. Are there any questions from councillors for the purpose of clarification from that verbal report? No. The next one is CCL 25/168 Water Usage Charges. We now have before us a question on notice from Councillor Chowdhury with the response provided. Are there any questions from councillors for the purpose of clarification? Councillor Chowdhury.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would really like to thank Council to put it through this question and answer. But through you, Mr. Mayor, to the director, there was a few confusion within the community after they read this report. If a director can little bit explain about these water charges. Thank you.
Through to CEO to Mr. Ryan.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. Just so that there's clarity around how estimated bills are done. It's on a corresponding previous bill. So water rates are issued on a quarterly basis. So there's 4 quarters throughout the year. So we're currently had rate notices go out for period 3. So we're in quarter 3 in terms of a billing cycle. So if a meter wasn't working during that period, we would do an estimate based on both the regulations there to go back to a previous 3rd quarter bill. So it's not going back to the 2nd quarter, for example. It's actually going back a year prior to get that corresponding period. And the reason why that's done is so that there's different climatic differences. So summer typically has a higher consumption, winter a lower consumption. So the bills that have gone out just recently are for December through to March. I know we're sitting in winter and people probably aren't using as much water as what they were. So, it's just making sure that that corresponding bill is to the previous same period, not the previous quarter. So that is one reason why people might see that that's a big jump. Because typically, as I said, we nearly double our consumption in the summer months as opposed to the winter months. But look, if there's any concerns about that, the public, there's the phone number that I've put in there, but there's also the email address of council@dubbo.newsouthwales.gov.au, or through the DRCME. If any people have got queries about their bills, feel free to talk to us so we can work out if there's any issues there or explain what's been done in the past.
Thank you. Anything further, Councillor? No. Any other questions, clarification? No.
No, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Ivey, sorry, missed you online in the deep.
Just a follow-up question that through you, perhaps to Mr. Mayor, have all the water meters been repaired or replaced? And so now, are we getting correct readings? And so is this
Thank you, Councillor Ivey. Thank you. We'll just get a quick little answer there so that we.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. We have replaced the majority of the ones that have had zero reads, but there is still a backlog that we still need to complete to get to having every meter operational.
Further information available offline directly from the director on that one. Thank you. Anything further? No, we'll move on then, councillors. We're up to CCL 25/169, comments and matters of urgency. We'll start online because Councillor Ivey was on there a second ago. Councillor Ivey and Councillor Wells, and we'll go around the room.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. The Wellington to Stedford is underway as we speak. It's, again, a highlight in the cultural calendar in Wellington. And, gee, you see the number of visitors and the people that participate. It's an absolute credit to the volunteer committee that run it. And so I'd really just like to give them a really big shout out and a thank you on behalf of the council and the community for what they do.
Thank you. Councillor Wells.
Sorry, had to click it a couple of times. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of things. One, I'm very lucky as a councillor to be attending the Australian Local Government Association conference in Canberra at the moment for Dubbo Regional Council, with, of course, the CEO. And it's just, the day one's been really interesting. I haven't done a conference in my first term on council, and this has just been a really interesting opportunity to get to this conference and to listen to one thing that two things I took away from just the day one was the welcome to country, how powerful it was, and how I think proud I felt seeing and hearing the welcome in local tongue using other languages as well, and that ongoing continuing respect around welcome to countries on such significant events was really pleasing to see. And then we had a couple of other really good people come on. One was Brendan Moore, who talked about the National Emergency Management Agency, and we as Dubbo have had our fair share of emergency disaster stuff, and we're absolutely need to keep our finger on the pulse around that. Around emergencies or disasters or however we call them, and it was just really interesting listening to that. And then we had a guy by the name of Bernard Salt, who apparently speaks every year from the population from the ABS, and I was thinking to myself, oh, this is probably going to be a bit dry, but he was absolutely amazing and bringing so much information to the audience, had them also in laughter, and I'll have lots of points to bring back to council and to the community to talk to or to share a report around what we've seen and heard down here at the ALGA conference. The second part I wanted to just quickly mention was that we're on the 6th of July, we open NAIDOC Week. And this year's theme is the Next Generation Strength, Vision and Legacy. And so the theme that celebrates the contributions of young Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander individuals and it highlights the importance of supporting their development and empowerment. It also encourages reflections on the legacy and that has been passed down and how to build a positive future for all. So it's really great that that's going to open on that's going to start on the 6th of July, which is something like 12 days away. And, Dubbo invests quite well in NAIDOC Week. We have a march on the Monday and the flag raising ceremony. We generally have a NAIDOC cake and then activities across in the Victoria Park. So I just wanted to remind everybody that there'll be lots of celebrations across our community around NAIDOC week, and please, get along to some of those celebrations and, immerse yourself in our First Nations culture where you can. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go Councillor Dickerson around that way tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I do enjoy Parkinson's law of triviality that talks about the fact that the amount of time spent on debate on any topic is inversely proportional to the cost. And tonight was a good example of that. We spent a long time debating, say, $8,000 for Wellington in terms of the Historical Society, but when we got to rates and charges, a $200 million budget, there was zero debate on that. So it was just a confirmation of the Parkinson's law of triviality, coined back in about 1953, I think it was. The first thing I wanted to mention was fantastic outcome at Mitchell's Creek or Coomabella Causeway or Saxa Road, whichever one you want to go by. It's a great example of going the long path. And I know Mr. Ryan took a few hits along the way because some residents out there wanted a quick solution for the Saxa Road crossing there. And Mr. Ryan stood by the fact that we wanted a good long-term solution. And yes, it took longer to get to that solution, but now the feedback I've been hearing from people in Wellington that are out around that way, that live out that way, it's a fantastic solution. So well done to our team over the last couple of years for getting to that point where we have got a good solution rather than, there were some people who said chuck a couple of slabs of concrete down and leave it at the causeway. That was never going to fly from a fisheries perspective, but also it's a good long-term solution. So I think that's fantastic. The next one I'll mention is the gift that keeps giving. The 3D printed toilet in West Dubbo, we know last month I mentioned, and congratulations to Councillor Wright, because the house that we've now got built in Dubbo, built by the state government in terms of the best way to build a good long-term solution for, I suppose, social housing and other outcomes, was recognised by the state government based on the leadership from Dubbo Regional Council. But we also won an award last month, of course, the Local Government New South Wales Innovation Award or Innovative Leadership Award, which again recognises the great work that this council did in going down that path and getting to that great solution from a council perspective. So again, another mention, it just keeps giving that gift, I suppose, from our perspective. Sports Hub outcome from the budget was disappointing. Again, I suppose we all saw that was going to be the outcome. I don't think anything we really did made any difference there whatsoever. In fact, it might have even counted against us, but a disappointing outcome from there. And just a brief one, Councillor Wells, Big O this weekend. I assume it's a Big O. That means it must be your 40th birthday, Councillor Wells. So happy birthday for this weekend.
Councillor Ryan.
No, I have nothing, mate.
Thank you. Councillor Cowley.
Excellent. Thank you, Councillor Ryan. I'll take your time. A couple of shout outs. I was fortunate enough to go to the Inspire and Ignite Young Talent showcase at the Black Box Theatre at the Western Plains Cultural Centre last week on Thursday night. And I had a front row seat to the unveiling of a stunning fashion collection from a young emerging designer whose name is Elise, showcased by a very elegant young person by the name of Olivia. Elise, the designer, is a triple threat, I guess you'd say, because she's not only an emerging designer, but she's quite an accomplished photographer and also a budding musician. And on the topic of musician, we were serenaded by and I'll get this right because it's not a spoonerism, the Sim Jullivan Experience, which is a young award-winning group of jazz musicians. They were fantastic. And I discovered last night when I attended the Minakamo Exchange Information Night with Councillor Wright, that one of our exchange students was actually the saxophonist from the other night. So we have some wonderful young people in our community and they should be commended. The Inspire and Ignite showcase was produced and hosted by the very creative bunch at Studio 138 and is part of the Unboxed Creative Sessions supported by Dubbo Regional Council. So that's good to know. The Dubbo Kangaroos at the weekend held their very successful and hugely well subscribed Ladies' Day, to which 500 tickets were sold. Made me feel very old looking at some of the crowd. However, those combined events, this is a 126-year-old club, and a few weeks ago they held their Old Boys' Day, and at the weekend just held their Ladies' Day. A combined total of $42,000 was raised by the club auctioning off the jerseys at night. So that doesn't include what they raised during the day. And that's $40,000 that will be directly injected back into our community through a range of chosen charities and organisations. That's a significant contribution from that club, and they are to be commended. I should also commend them for the stellar wins in the women's who thumped the Orange Emus, and it's always very nice when we beat Orange in anything. 52-0, and the first with an astonishing try in the dying seconds of the game to put the Roos over the line for a 33-31 win. So shout out to all of those involved. And finally, but certainly not last but not least, the front page exhibition that has just opened at the Western Plains Cultural Centre, which celebrates 150 years of local newspapers and how they've evolved over that time. Now, I'm entirely biased when it comes to print media, but I think the contribution to regional life and community over the course of 150 years is definitely worth celebrating. As is the Local Studies History Room. This is a vastly underutilised resource in our community, underappreciated, underutilised, and so is the little gem that runs the place. Our Local Studies Officer, Simone Taylor, who is one of my favourite people because she helped me so much on a number of projects I've worked on. But she curated this exhibition, which I'm yet to see, but I'll be looking forward to seeing it. It's from the Vault program. I urge you all to check it out.
Thank you. Councillor Richardson.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say I had a ball last week during that DISC training. Found out a lot about the personalities of my fellow councillors, which hopefully has helped me or will help me in the future to try and read them. Just on a personal note, Akadaka are coming in November. I won't be here.
Sounds sensational. Councillor Chowdhury.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to shout out tonight that Public Speaker Miss Jessica, she's spoken on behalf of the Davo Environmental Group, and I would like to congratulate that new committee and congratulate her to she come here with the courage and passion, and we know how that community groups works. Like they are very passionate about make a green Davo, and I would like to work with them and make sure our future getting more greener in Davo.
Thank you. Councillor Butler.
Oh, yeah. So, yes, you may recall last time we had these comments at the end, I was asking about the Lions bookshop. I don't know if people remember that. The good news is they have found a place. So I just wanted to thank whoever was involved with that. But yeah, for me, that was really quite a wonderful result. So I had a look in the window the other day and I saw all their stuff in there. And so they certainly are a wonderful group, voluntary group, provide a lot of time for the community, do a lot of good. And it's good to see they're finally, after being ousted, found a home. So that's just a good thing there. So yes, good news story. Just another thing before I go. The final speaker tonight at the public forum mentioned there about how she was keen to remind the councillors that if they had read about the Port Helen report regarding the vaccines, what I think she was reading out was the recent advice from the TGA that we have known for years but was refused to be acknowledged, was that vaccines are absolutely worthless when it comes to children. And the cost-benefit ratio has never been there. The effect and the, how would you call it, the adverse cost to children has never outweighed the benefit of any vaccine, as their ability to resist the disease was huge. And even of the very, very small percentage, and I think it's less than 1%, of children that may have suffered from COVID, by far and away the lion's share recover without any adverse effects. So it was never a benefit to them. And it's good to see that although we have known that for the last few years, I just want to point it out to the councillors that the government advice through TGA was wrong. and now they have actually updated that on their website so that they're now, without any fanfare, mind you, they've not told anyone. They've just quietly slipped it in there, what we knew all along. And I think we'll find as we go forward in time, we'll also come to realise that vaccines for adults were also likewise not worth the cost. The adverse reactions were definitely not worth any sort of possible protection. And even Pfizer admitted that they weren't safe or effective. So I just wanted to just pick up on that lady there that spoke at the public forum. So thanks. So please, councillors, I want to encourage you, look at the Port Hedland material, and I think you'll see that the reason these concerns are being raised is a very real reason. All right, thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Wright.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. As Councillor Cowley alluded to, we went along last night to the Minicamo Student Exchange Information Session. So well done again to the 10 students who were accepted into that particular program. There was 24 applications from students around Dubbo, and of the 10 who had to go through not only the application process but also a rigorous interview process as well. I'm sure they were extremely nervous, but Councillor Cowley and I got to meet a number of those last night, and I'm sure they're going to go on to represent Dubbo very, very well in the September school holidays, I believe it is. They've got nearly 2 weeks over there, a couple of weeks in Tokyo. We did learn last night they do get to spend a full day in Disneyland. I'm sure they'll have an amazing time. But when they do return after spending about a week or so with their families in Minicamo, councillors will have that opportunity to hear from each and every one of those, or at least maybe even a group of them, to present to us and tell us all about that trip. It is obviously very important to build those relationships with Minicamo, but Dubbo Regional Council also does financially contribute towards that particular program. So it'd be great to see or hear where our money goes and the results of that particular trip. So well done to all those again. Also to Brenton and Naomi, who will be I suppose chaperones over there. I believe also it was that the fight to get a job as a chaperone was just as rigorous as it was to actually be an actual student in amongst that exchange program. So well done to all. Look forward to hearing all about it maybe later in the year, October, November, when they return.
Thank you, Councillor Toynton.
No, thank you. I don't have much this evening. It's just disappointing that we've recently learnt that the Minns government could have overruled the decision, but our sports hub wasn't included in the budget. So it's some pretty bad news. A terrible blow to the region as a whole. And just a light note tonight. It appears we have 2 mayors in the room. I've noticed Councillor Dickerson has his old badge on. Nothing wrong with my eyes. All rise for his worship, the mayors. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Nearly 3 mayors with the deputy chairing a couple of items. Look, just very quickly, I said before about Uncle Ray Peckham's funeral this Friday, and it really is worth a read of his little bio in many magazines online. Absolutely incredible life. The Filipino Independence Day 127th anniversary flag raising and dinner. Councillor Toynton was there, Councillor Chowdhury, Councillor Richardson. Did I miss anyone? Myself. Been doing that for 20 plus years in Dubbo, the local Filipino association, so that's fantastic. And look, there's so many people from the Philippines out here working in aged care and those sort of things. They really do a great job in the community, so good to encourage that cultural part of our community. We had the National Indian Film Festival of Australia visit. Councillor Cowley was there, probably Councillor Chowdhury, can't remember who else. Look, that was a real coup for the local filmmakers to get that to Dubbo out of a capital city or major regional city like Townsville, and for Anu Sharma, a famous filmmaker, to bring his troupe back to Dubbo and spend so much time talking to locals about various filmmaking techniques, etc., etc. And finally, the sports hub. Look, Chris Minns, the Premier, could have put that money back into the budget. That was obviously a government decision not to, and the fight goes on. So I don't believe it was ever based on merit, that decision. It was obviously a political decision to take the money and spend it elsewhere because there's a project that was ready to go. It's still ready to go. Could be built, could have been built, and we wouldn't have kids slipping over on a Friday night at junior basketball and getting 5 stitches across their knee when they hit a nail that's poking up out of the floor. We wouldn't have the Astley Cup needing to be halted at the start of the day. last week to mop up the floor because it was all dripping through the roof as the frost melted, and it's just things like that. But to have $48 million ripped out of the whole regional community for something that is clearly not based on merit, it was just a political decision by a minister that has then been stuck to. Even the PCYC has been given the brush off with 18 letters for not many replies over the last 7 or 8 months. So the fight goes on, though. Once you start something like this, you can't stop. There is a great need in Dubbo and the whole region for these sporting facilities plus the PCYC for diversional programs for at-risk youth, as we have a crime problem throughout the region. So we've just got to continue on. I'll be talking to groups tomorrow, now that we've got tonight out of the way, and onward and upward. That then concludes the ordinary meeting of council. I declare the meeting closed, the time being 8:49 p.m. Web streaming has now been completed. Thank you for your attendance. Please stop the web streaming.